I don't even know if you know enough about Louisiana Tech to know that they lost 9 defensive starters a lot.
Of a national championship. Today, 2 teams that have rebounded from the depths of defeat will clash in an epic battle, fitting of the pomp and passion that is college football. Louisiana Tech believe in the blue. Today, they will proudly march into Lincoln, Nebraska, and the home team sea of red will roar, cheer, and applaud both sides of the football. And that, my friends, is what makes college football so great. Then on a given Saturday afternoon, a bunch of fine Southern gentlemen will give it their all against the rising tide that is Cornhusker football. And leading up to kickoff, every player on this field believes he will leave the game a hero. Bulldogs and Cornhuskers next.
Don't get no better than this, baby.
Shine, they are rowdy in Lincoln when it comes to Husker football. The season opener moments away as the University of Nebraska kicks it off today at Memorial Stadium in front of yet another sellout crowd. The 276 consecutive games sold out on a Kyocera College Football Saturday. They host the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. Welcome, folks. Bill Land along with Dave Lapham. Glad to have you with us here in Lincoln. And, boy, are they pumped about the Huskers, and rightfully so, Dave.
Well, they should be, Bill. They won their last 3 football games. They went to Colorado and manhandled the Division North champ 30-3, and then they turned around and beat Michigan in the Alamo Bowl. Will the momentum carry over? Well, we'll see. I mean, Louisiana Tech in this decade, they've gone down to Tuscaloosa, beaten Alabama. They've gone to East Lansing and beaten Michigan State. They are a quality opponent. We'll see if that momentum carries over today in Lincoln for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Certainly one of the reasons the Huskers are so excited is the veteran leadership at quarterback in Zach Taylor. He just doesn't make many mistakes.
No, he's battle-tested, he's confident, and he's supremely aware of this West Coast offense. He knows every nuance of it. He can tell everybody their assignment, not just his assignments. He knows what everybody's supposed to do every play. And let me tell you, in the huddle, that is a settling feeling.
There's another Zach calling the shots for Louisiana Tech. Not near as experienced, though, as Zach Champion. Just 8 passes thrown in his collegiate career for the Bulldogs. If they give him some time, though, he's got some big-time receivers.
Oh, there's no question. Will Zach play like a champion, or will the venue and the opponent be too much for him? But Holland's got 10 400-meter speed. Newman has the best hands in the team. Wheeler is 6'4", and he high jumps 6'11" in high school. He's got weapons to get it down the field. But will his offensive line be able to hold up against what I think is the best front 7 in the Big 12 and maybe one of the top 3 in the country? That is the key to today's game. It's what's up front that counts.
Yeah, the Big Red fans love their black shirt defense, and again, rightfully so. With more on the black shirts, here's Emily Jones.
Well, guys, Bill Callahan agrees with you. He says the black shirts are back, and in fact, this is the best defense he's had in his 3 years at Nebraska. And that's saying a lot considering the Huskers last season led the country in sacks with 50. A big reason for Callahan's optimism is the return of senior defensive end Adam Carricker. Carricker racked up 43 tackles, 17 of those for loss, and 9.5 of those sacks. Plenty of returning starters for this defense, and they're looking to even better their performance from last season, guys.
All right, and guess what? A record crowd. They've expanded the stadium here. 80,000 plus to watch Louisiana Tech and Nebraska coming straight ahead.
Welcome once again inside our college football studios here in Los Angeles. Mike Goldberg, DeMarco Farr, Billy Ray Smith. All right, we've talked defense for Nebraska. Let's talk offense. 3rd year of the West Coast offense, BR. Is Zach Taylor ready to run this offense efficiently?
Well, I think he's ready. I think he's going to have to get more time. The offensive line, they've got to do a better job protecting the quarterback. And a lot of that is going to be accomplished if they can do a better job blocking for the run, making more than 2.7 yards per carry. That's ridiculous in a rushing offense, especially when you're Bill Callahan. You got a big physical offensive line. You got to get more than 2.7 yards a carry.
Well, the question I have in the West Coast offense, they're going to throw the ball to the running backs in the flex. Who's going to do it? Corey Ross and his 43 receptions, gone. Marlon Lucky has shaky hands. Zach Taylor's going to throw it to him. Will he catch it? The big story.
The interesting thing with Nebraska, though, is like Bill Land talked about with Dave Lapham, now it's time to commandeer the momentum that you have. You don't want to go back into a tailspin, especially here in year 3.
Big 12 North will be won by Nebraska.
End of discussion.
Okay. I have nothing to say.
But could they compete? Could they take it one further and compete for a title?
The best thing about it is they're still using that momentum from the end of the season last year. I mean, to knock off Michigan, that was huge. That tells Nebraska that they're back in the national scene. That was a big win for them.
And it was way back that Terry Bradshaw used to play for Louisiana Tech. What? Right ahead, Louisiana Tech. Number 22, Nebraska, from Lincoln. Enjoy the first half, everybody.
Welcome back, Kyocera College Football Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska. The Huskers and the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech, as Nebraska, playing in front of another sellout crowd, kicks off the 2006 season. And they come from the opposite tunnel from where they used to come out of, as they've added some facilities here, including 6,500 more seats. Capacity is over 80,000. They've added another 13 suites to go along with that main deck you see there on the sideline. And that faces head coach Jack Bicknell in his 8th year leading Louisiana Tech, 40-42. The Bulldogs 7-4 a year ago, 6-2, tied for 3rd in the Western Athletic Conference. Yet they were shunned by the Bull folks. They've got something to prove. And Bill Callahan, in his 3rd year as head coach here of the Nebraska Cornhuskers at 13-10, had a bounce back last year, 8-4, 4-4 in league play, and they ended up winning in the Alamo Bowl against Michigan to finish on a high note, taking their last 3 games. They're excited about the fact that they are picked as the team to beat in the North this year by most. Bill Land, Dave Lapham, Emily Jones, and we're glad to have you aboard on a very cool day at 57 degrees. We had some heavy showers earlier today, but it is clearing up now. The humidity at 89%, slight breeze out of the north-northwest, and we expect just perfect conditions before it's all over day.
Bill, the field turf, the surface here is better when it's a little wet. In fact, it's recommended that you water the field turf before the game, even if you have not had any precipitation. It responds well to just a little bit of moisture, gives you even better traction. So I don't think the footing will be an issue whatsoever, even with the amount of rain that we had earlier today.
Well, you see how long it's been since the Bulldogs have taken one to the house on the kickoff.
Yeah.
How about that, 89? They've got Patrick Jackson, 23, and Weldon Brown, number 35, to take the kick as it comes from Jordan Condon. And on the near side, at the 10, the 15, the 20, breaking a tackle and out to the 32-yard line and a fumble. And there'll be a pile up there. 29 yards on the return. And is that a pumped-up Louisiana Tech bunch?
That's what Jack Bicknell wanted to see. Compete in the kicking game. Make some big plays. Don't make any mistakes in the kicking game. That's a big factor when you're a decided underdog like they are today in Lincoln, Nebraska. And, boy, just a great vision. Found his lanes. And you talk about a hit. I mean, that's like, welcome to Lincoln. Steve Octavian, whew, that was a kiss right there, not a polite one.
Weldon Brown, a nice return, though, for Louisiana Tech. And they are at least not pinned in their own end too deeply to start their first series. 1st and 10 at the 32 for Champion. Hands off the football, nothing for Patrick Jackson. That Husker defense stops him at the 30. Jay Moore, 6'4", 280, a senior from Elkhorn, Nebraska, makes the stop. Zach Champion is a junior out of Birmingham, Alabama, 6'1", 210. 2 games last year, 2 of 2 for 16 yards. They do like his future, but he is certainly going to face some pressure today. We'll give you the rest of the Kyocera starting lineup for Louisiana Tech in just a moment. It'll be a 2nd down and 12 after a loss of 2 on that first play. They operate from their 30. Champion's pass is incomplete, intended for Jonathan Holland. Let's take a look at our Kyocera starters, and we'll start with the big fellas up front. And Tyler Miller is the leader of that group, a 6'7", 300-pound junior out of Waco, Texas. And you see the rest with Lindsey Considine has moved to the tackle spot today. The backs and the receivers, Jackson, Holland, Newman, Wheeler, and James. Holland, 29 receptions for 421 yards last year. He is a speedster. 3rd and 12 from the 30 for Louisiana Tech. Champion, high snap. got hammered. There's sack number 1 for the Huskers, who had 50 last year, and it is Adam Carricker, the senior, a preseason All-American, and he's showing you why.
Yeah, Adam Carricker is big time, and here he is working right here. Just gets the upfield move, and you got to move your feet a little bit better than that. Marcus Lindsay got his feet in concrete a little bit and has to be able to move a little bit because Adam Carricker has got a high motor.
Cagle to punt it away for Louisiana Tech, standing on his own 10. Reaches midfield, and the Huskers receive it on the run there, and the ball will be down. We'll see what actually marked the football.
Bill, it was typical Nebraska defense in that series. 1st and 10, tackle for loss. They had 140 of those last year, getting Louisiana Tech off schedule. And then immediately a sack out of Adam Carricker, 50 sacks last year.
32-yard punt for Zach Taylor now to set up and operate. The 6'2 senior from, Norman, Oklahoma. His father, a standout player for the Sooners many years ago. And Taylor on a 1st and 10 hands it off. The Huskers do want to establish that running game, and Marlon Lucky, one of 4 running backs expected to get considerable time today. Let's take a look at our Kyocera starters for the University of Nebraska offense. You saw Taylor, who runs the show. The offensive line, another outstanding group, but there are some questions that need to be answered if they're going to get their running game going. And the backs and receivers, Lucky, Todd Swift, none. Matt Harrion, a comeback story that we'll get into later on. Broken play, and Taylor has to keep the football on a 2nd down and 7 from the 48. And he is stopped near the 47 as Day and Harris were there in on the tackle for the Bulldogs. And Kyocera presents the Louisiana Tech defensive group. Up front, McGilton, Muse, and Wes Day. Muse, a junior out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, veteran player. Harris, Jackson, Beveridge among the backers along with Macbeth. And then Brown, Dillard, Abrams, and Moss, the secondary for the Bulldogs.
Zach Taylor showed his football IQ there. He didn't get the handoff clean into Lucky. What he did is he turned around, he hit the designated hole, and he made a catastrophe at least palatable.
3rd down and 6. Taylor, 1st down on the completion. Oh, they ruled him out of bounds. I beg your pardon, as France Hardy on the reception was out of bounds, covered by Torrance Hampton, a senior out of Starkville, Mississippi.
Yeah, you have to come down with 1 foot in bounds in college football, and he just takes it to the sideline, and that left foot is on the white line. There's no question about it. He is out of bounds. The fans don't think so, but his toes were definitely out of bounds. Good call by the official right there, right on the spot.
And the fans get a closer look than maybe even the officials with this humongous new Husker Vision television screen that measures 117 feet wide that is part of the renovations here.
I just need a Barcalounger and a pizza, and I'm set.
Freddie Franklin is deep to return as Titchener will punt it away for Nebraska. A sophomore out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And into the end zone, and it'll come back on the touchback. We'll take a brief timeout after a 47-yard punt by Titchener for the Huskers. Yeah, they love their Big Red here in Lincoln. Stay with us. College football on FSN is presented by Kyocera, the new value frontier. And brought to you in part by eHarmony.com. Are you ready to fall in love? By Burger King, have it your way. And by Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors that add up to one bold taste. Dr. Pepper, there's more to it. Husker Nation with a full house. 2nd possession for Louisiana Tech. No score in Lincoln. Champion fakes the handoff for the Bulldogs and passes, and it is dropped by Holland out near the 30-yard line. And let's now take a look at the Kyocera starters defensively for the University of Nebraska, as the Huskers, who last year had 50 sacks to lead the nation. And Dave's mentioned their front 7 is stout. Moore, Cryer, Dalgenduro, as well as Carricker. And the linebackers, deep group. McEwen is a stud there. So is Rude. And in the secondary, Jones, Green, Shanley, and Grigsby. Some of those guys have moved over from the offensive side. We'll fill you in more about them later on. It is 2nd and 10 at the 20. Champion. Flushed out of the pocket. Sack number 2. Yes, sir. Inside the 10-yard line. Are these Huskers fired up? Moore and Carricker sandwiched sandwich champion.
Well, they were trying to run the screen, and Chris, and the screen was defended very well by Nebraska. Watch him defend the screen. Watch Bradley right here. Nowhere to go. He covers the screen, and that turns into a quarterback sack. What Champion has to do is throw the ball away. Don't take the sack if the screen's not there. Let's take a look at the keys for Louisiana Tech. They want to win the big play battle. They'd like 4 or 5 plays of 40, 45 yards or more, and don't give any up. Avoid third and long, third and extra long. That's when Nebraska can really heat you up and then compete in that kicking game. And right now they're looking at third and extra long, and they don't want to be here.
Keys to the game brought to you by Dr. Pepper. 3rd and 20, as Dave mentioned, just exactly the disaster plan that Coach Picknell would like to avoid.
Play a game on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Defeats are down.
There's the call from referee Tom Walker here today, as we do have some rule changes that you might be aware as we're just underway with college football, and certainly one of those will be a speedier game because of the clock being started on kickoffs when the ball is kicked, as well as on most of the time on a change of possession. Champion from his own end zone. Looking deep for Holland, and incomplete as Jonathan was matched down there by Courtney Grigsby.
Well, Champion didn't have a whole lot of time to throw the football because Adam Carricker was in his face once again. Now he's over the left guard. He crushed. You get the sack at right guard. Now they move him over the left guard, and he gets the hit. That's what the Raiders used to do with Howie Long. Move him up and down the line of scrimmage. At defensive tackle, defensive end, everybody got a chance at Howie Long, or he got a chance at them. Bill Callahan understands and remembers that.
Cagle out of his own end zone boots it, and Louisiana Tech will down it, but it's near the 36-yard line of the Bulldogs. 31-yard punt. Let's take a break now. Dr. Pepper game break. We send it off to Mike Goldberg and friends.
And number 1, Ohio State on the board early at the Horseshoe. First possession against the Huskies of Northern Illinois. 8 plays, 66 yards, capped off by this. Troy Smith to Ted Ginn Jr. touchdown pass. The number 1 Ohio State University leads Northern Illinois 7-0.
Huskies up at the Horseshoe today. Thank you, Mike. 1st and 10, ball on the 36-yard line. Nebraska seeing if they can take advantage of excellent field position after the punt. Tech with a force up there. Takes a while for that forward motion to be stopped with those big fellas leading the way for the Huskers.
That looked like a rugby scrum. Everybody was inside of the hash marks. That was a power formation. Bill Callahan saying, I'm going after it. Let's take a look at the Dr. Pepper keys here, and he wants to establish that run. Last year, averaging just 2.7 yards a carry, 94 yards on the ground. Wants to get off to a fast start, get the tempo going, and establish an aggressive style of play, and then play clean. No turnovers, avoid penalties, avoid assignment errors. Play well.
2nd down and 7. The ball on the 33. Huskers with, again, the ground game. And out to the 30. Nebraska only 1 pass attempt as Cody Glenn getting the carry. Sophomore from Rusk, Texas. Bill Callahan's got Lucky. He's got Brandon Jackson, Cody Glenn, and Kenny Wilson. And they say all 4 are going to get action today.
And again, everybody in the formation between the hash marks. Nebraska is saying we're to play smash mouth football. This formation, they have 10 in tightly. Right here, 10. That's Lonesome Soldier out there. Smash mouth formation in emotions.
3rd and 3. And the pitch. 25, flag throw, 10. And a touchdown if it stands. There's a flag throw.
And this is what Bill Callahan was talking about, playing cleanly. Avoid the penalties, avoid the turnover.
Kenny Wilson's going to have it called back. Wilson, the junior college transfer.
And Wilson, at 220 pounds, runs a 4.440. Let's take a look. Oh, right here. There's the hold right there. They got the takedown in the open field. Here comes the motion man. Watch him crack. He gets a nice crack back block, but right there was the takedown block that sealed their edge that time for Kenny Wilson. And that's unfortunate. And that's what Bill Callahan was talking about. You have a touchdown taken off the board because of a penalty. Now, it wasn't a pre-snap penalty. It wasn't a mental error, jumping off sides, wrong formation or anything. But it was an execution error. You can't reach out and grab and hold and nullify a touchdown like that.
As a result, 3rd and 13. You saw the problem the Huskers had in third down conversions last year. Let's see what they do here on the 3rd and long situation at the 39. Taylor got time. Oh, my goodness. Right off the shoulder pads of Hardy.
Well, what you have to do, it sounds elementary, Bill, but it's oh so true. You have to get your hands out and catch the football with your hands. You don't let it get into your body and ricochet off your shoulder pads. You run into trouble that way. Get your hands out in front of your body and secure the football with your hands, not with your body. And that's the mistake that Hardy made.
So Tichenur's on for the punt. 47-yarder the first time. Louisiana Tech's just got to be delighted. They got a break with the penalty.
Right.
And avoid the touchdown. Trying to pooch kick it inside the 20 and dumps on the football. Recovered by Nebraska.
That's the one thing Jack Bicknell didn't want to have happen. You want to make big plays in the kicking game and no big mistakes, and that's a humongous mistake, giving Nebraska the ball in the red zone, short field. You got to compete in the kicking game. That was one of the keys to the game for Louisiana Tech.
Freddie Franklin can't hang on.
And Franklin has the best hands in the team. He made the same mistake. Get out with your hand. Don't let it ricochet off your shoulder pads. When the ball hits your shoulder pads, it's going to go crazy. It's haywire. Off his pads, see you later. Nebraska comes up with a fortuitous bounce right there for the red jerseys.
Barry Turner pounced on it for Nebraska. And the Huskers now get it right back. 1st and 10 on the 15 of Louisiana Tech. On the ground as they continue to try to pound it in.
Nobody is flanked out at the receiver position. Everybody is bunched up between the hash marks. I mean, it's a tight configuration, and Bill Callahan's saying we're bigger, stronger, more physical. We're going to try to knock you around by this formation. Let's see if it continues.
Lucky picks up 3. He's the lone back again. 2nd down and 7.
Let's see if we get motion here.
Mueller sets up strong to the left side now. Lucky cuts it back inside the 10, down near the 6-yard line. And Quinn Harris, the sophomore from Visalia, California, the Sam linebacker for Tech, makes the tackle on Marlon Lucky, a sophomore out of North Hollywood, California.
Bill, in high school, 484,881 yards and 81 touchdowns. This kid's got great vision. Draws, counters, those are the kind of plays that they like to run with him because of that vision and his ability to find cutback lanes like he did there.
Ran for 129 total here at Nebraska as a freshman. And it's 3rd and 2, ball on the 7 for the Huskers. See Todd, the fullback, setting up closer now to Taylor. Lucky stays on as the tailback. Taylor, quick drop, looking in the end zone, and out of bounds. Great effort that time. Moss was covering Nate Swift, the sophomore out of Hutchinson, Minnesota.
In college football, there's no such thing as a force out. You have to come down with the foot in bounds, 1 foot. It's not like in the NFL, if you go airborne, you get pushed. You go airborne, he might have gotten pushed, but he came down with his foot out of bounds. There's no rule stating that the verticality rule. If you go up in the air, even if you're pushed out of bounds, somehow you have to get your foot in bounds. Swift couldn't quite get that done. Nice throw by Zach Taylor.
4th and 2, and Glenn comes in as the running back. They'll go for it from the 7. No score yet here in Lincoln. Taylor. Picked off. And intercepted and brought out by Anthony Smith, the freshman from Pittsburgh, Louisiana. And Louisiana Tech, first of all, they dodged a bullet on a penalty. Now they come up with a key turnover. They were in the top 5 in the country last year in turnover margin. They repeat here.
Boy, it's just that's a tip ball. Outstanding effort.
Kyocera College Football Saturday rolls on here in Lincoln. Huskers and Louisiana Tech, no score. The Huskers, the national leader in sacks last year with 50. They've already got a couple today. They've dominated on the defensive end, but they've made some key mistakes that have kept them from the scoreboard. And La Tech on the 1st and 10, and Jackson carries it all the way out. for Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. It'll be a 1st and 10 at the 41-yard line and a 19-yard pickup.
Anthony James, the big tight end for Louisiana Tech, with an outstanding block, doing a good job on the edge against Jay Moore and giving a nice lane for his running back to take advantage of. And boy, was it ever taken advantage of by Jackson.
First and 10, the ball on the 41-yard line. And the handoff. Jackson is slowed and stopped at the 45. Time for Dr. Pepper game break. Here's Mike Goldberg.
Hey, Bill, we told you how number 1 Ohio State scored on their opening possession. How about number 7 West Virginia taking on Marshall? The second meeting of these in-state rivals since 1924. Pat White to Brandon Miles. 7-0 Mountaineers early lead.
Louisiana Tech, 2nd down 7. Ball on the 44-yard line. 5. First quarter action here in Lincoln. Champion, time to throw. Incomplete. Anthony James, the intended target. Big senior, 6'6", 257-pounder from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Nice job by middle linebacker McKinn. He just did it. He had 7 sacks last year, 22 tackles for loss, and 3 interceptions. That's a complete defensive stat sheet stuffer right there. Interestingly enough, the leader of the offense wears number 13. The leader of the defense wears number 13.
Roy McKinn, junior out of Naperville, Illinois. Always in the middle of the action. 3rd down and 7. Husker crowd making some noise. Champion completes it to Jackson out of the backfield. Got nothing. He'll have to kick it away as Bradley makes the stop. Stuart Bradley, a senior out of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Well, Louisiana Tech faced another 3rd and long. They faced 3rd and long and 3rd and extra long early in their offensive series in this football game, and that was the key for them. Stay out of those 3rd and longs, 3rd and extra longs when Nebraska can really get after you with blitz packages.
Nunn is the deep man on the punt from Cagle. Nunn catches it in full stride, dodges one, and then steps out of bounds near the 35-yard line after a 29-yard punt from Louisiana Tech. No score, Bulldogs and Huskers on Kyocera College Football Saturday.
This rather unconventional salute to Nebraska's Scarlet and Cream comes from the cream of 20th century artists, as expressed in the world-famous collection at the Sheldon Memorial Art Gallery on the campus of the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. I think you get the picture. There is no place like Nebraska.
Emily Jones here in Lincoln, Nebraska for Kyocera College Football Saturday. No score here in the first quarter between Louisiana Tech and Nebraska. And the Huskers don't host homecoming festivities until November 4th. However, it is a homecoming of sorts for Louisiana Tech defensive coordinator George Darlington. He spent 30 years with the Cornhuskers and during that time became the first Division I assistant coach to amass 300-plus wins with the same program. He is now with Louisiana Tech. He's got to be pleased with what his team is doing thus far against the high-powered Huskers.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. As Marlon Lucky shreds that defense for a rarity so far today. Des Abrams makes the tackle. Huskers did have a touchdown run by Wilson called back by penalty, but Coach Darlington telling his team, he said, hey, you've never been here before. You'll never meet better fans, win or lose. He goes, they support their team, and they're the classiest in the country to the other.
And you saw Coach Darlington using hand signals. It gets so loud here. He said a lot of communication. You have to use visual signals from the sideline and on the football field.
Handoff, and Tech defense there on the 1st and 10. The ball started at the 45-yard line as Jackson makes the tackle, as well as Abrams on the play. Well, and the place should be louder. Today's attendance, 85,181, a new Memorial Stadium record. The previous mark was 78,268 in 02 against Texas. And for the additional 6,500 seats in the one end zone, as well as the suites, bigger is better here in Lincoln. 2nd down and 7. And Lucky, maybe a yard near the 49-yard line before he is stopped by the Bulldogs.
Coach Darlington had a feeling Nebraska was going to try to get that running game going, and he's got his defensive players. The down linemen and linebackers are hitting their gaps. I mean, the fits between the linebackers and defensive linemen in those gaps, the gap control integrity has been great. There's been nowhere for Nebraska to go. They're all playing their responsibilities effectively up front.
And Nebraska, no bones about it, wanted to improve their run game. Only averaged 96 yards a game on the ground last year as a team. Lucky for their Jackson getting his first shot. We'll have to keep track of that because they rotate him. Brandon Jackson, a junior out of Horn Lake, Mississippi, is stopped by Anthony Crosby.
That was just a great move by an individual. The vision and then the cutback. Blocking over pursuit just a little bit. The big down lineman trying to make a play is Joshua Muse, the nose tackle. He just overran it. He didn't play his gap control responsibility effectively enough. Trying to do too much. He's a big 18-wheeler, and the running back can change direction like a Ferrari in open field. He can.
No backfield here as they toss over the middle, and it is incomplete. Intended for Nunn.
Number 83, Terrence Nunn.
Collins covering on the play for Louisiana Tech.
Louisiana Tech, number 20, Sandy Ray Collins.
Here's what Nebraska was looking at last year. Very un-Nebraska-like. Last in the conference in yards rushing per game, second to last in yards. The efficiency wasn't there. Only 10 rushing TDs, also second to last in the league. I mean, the West Coast offense, I played the West Coast offense in the NFL, and you have to be able to run the football and execute it well.
Taylor 0 of 5 pitches at this time after having trouble in the passing game. And again, nothing doing on a second down and 10. And stopped near the line of scrimmage.
Number 27, Kenny Wilson.
Kenny Wilson carrying the football, and Louisiana Tech's defense up to the challenge thus far. Mark Dillard leading the way.
What you have to do is stay on your feet if you're a defensive football player. And for the most part, Louisiana Tech stays on their feet and they rally to the football. Look at all the white jerseys coming right around the ball. 4 or 5 defenders there. It's a pretty good job. I mean, you have initial good contact by Dillard and then inside-out pursuit by his teammates to help him.
3rd down and 9. The ball at the 41 for Nebraska. Taylor, plenty of time, and delivers. Purify inside the 15-yard line on the reception. Maurice Purify, a junior from Eureka, California, brought down by Collins of the Bulldogs. 31 yards on the pickup.
A junior college addition to Nebraska, 6'4", 210 pounds. Had 19 touchdown catches last season at the junior college level. Presents himself as a very big target, and he shows good speed. Size-speed ratio is definitely there, and he runs away from Sandy Ray Collins a little bit.
Taylor's first completion puts him number 8 on the all-time passing list at Nebraska, passing Scott Frost, and he's got another one here, and a touchdown. Oh, my. It is Matt Harrion who makes the reception, and what a capper to his comeback story on the opening game.
Bill, what a story this guy is in perseverance, diligence, never say die, don't quit on it. He had a compound fracture of his leg. They put a rod in there, had to re-break and put a rod back in, and here he is all by his lonesome. Louisiana Tech lost total track of Matt Harrion in the back corner of the end zone in his first game back after missing all of last year rehabilitating. He scores a touchdown. That's a great story.
And now for the point after Congdon, and the kick is good. It took Nebraska a while. There's 1:54 to go here in this first quarter, but the Huskers get on the board on the TD pass from Taylor to Harrion.
And Harrion, all he does is just run a little corner route, and they lose track of it. By formation, Louisiana Tech lost track of their coverage responsibilities. That's what George Darlington was concerned about. Personnel groups, formations, we've seen all the different shifting and motion that Nebraska has done, and Harrion lined up as basically a wing back, and all he did was run a corner out to the back corner of the end zone, and nobody picked him up in coverage responsibility, and that's a mental error, and that's what George Darlington was talking about. He hoped that his young people would be able to handle the formations and the motions of Nebraska. That time, they lost track of the big tight end.
And Harrion with the TD reception for Nebraska, 13-yard pass from Taylor, and the senior out of Pierce, Nebraska. Boy, he's got to feel good after getting that one. And they've said he's made progress, and it's taken a while, but coaches were telling us, Dave, they're really excited about the way he's looked, particularly in the last week or two.
And in a good West Coast offense, a tight end, a big tight end like he is, 6'5", 245 pounds, that can run and stretch the field, run down the hash mark and stretch the field, is worth his weight in gold. And his career reception average before this year was over 20.6 yards per catch. He was a big play guy before suffering that severe leg injury.
Our Super 8 scoring drive for Nebraska, 8 plays, 65 yards. Herrion on the receiving end, and Taylor hits 2 straight. The second one gets him a TD, and it's Nebraska with a 7-0 lead of Louisiana Tech. Jackson and Brown are deep again as Congdon will kick it off here for Nebraska. Jackson broke a couple of times, and then a swarm hits him and stuffs him at the 15-yard line. A 6-yard return for Patrick Jackson.
That's pretty good coverage right there when you're talking about a kickoff return only generating 6 yards. Anytime you can pin a team back inside the 20 when covering a kickoff, you've done a phenomenal job.
Eisenhart making the tackle for the Huskers. And as we mentioned, with the clock moving, the moment the ball is kicked on a kickoff, it will speed things up. And coaches are concerned generally that it will shorten the game and cost them maybe 10, 15 plays a game. Well, with the clock moving, here is Champion. Keeps and slides into the 20-yard line, and we'll take a Dr. Pepper game break.
Bill Land, number 19, Penn State, hosting the Akron Zips. The post-Michael Robinson era begins. The new quarterback is Anthony Morello. Morelli, the junior, to the sophomore Deion Butler, 42 yards for the score. 41st season for 79-year-old Joe Paterno as the head coach of the Nittany Lions.
Thank you, Mike, as we look at Marcus Lindsay lining up.
Oh, man, 6'7", 378 pounds. That's a condo in there at right guard.
It was 385. Maybe he's been on a diet since they got to Lincoln. The convoy did not do enough leading there as Jackson again is stopped on the play at the 20.
Let's watch the big man come off the ball, and boy, when he absorbs you, you're definitely absorbed. That's the old pancake block. You know, you take him to the ground. Gets the big mitts on, locks him up, and he starts a little bit of a hole, but the unblocked linebacker, just a textbook, picture-perfect tackle right there. Big old Marcus Lindsay is trying to melt down a little bit. The coaches don't want him at 385 pounds. And he really doesn't want to be there, but he likes to eat, obviously.
Who's the biggest you ever were in your playing days?
Or was it post-playing
days?
287 was probably the heaviest I ever played at.
Well, that ends the first quarter here in Lincoln. The Huskers had some mistakes, but finally got it going on their last drive, and it's Nebraska with a 7-0 lead on Kyocera's College Football Saturday on FSN. Nebraska 7-0 leader over Louisiana Tech. Kyocera's College Football Saturday in Lincoln as we prepare to start quarter number 2. First down line is brought to you by Overstock.com. Search, shop, and save up to 70% at Overstock.com. Bill Land, Dave Lapham, and Emily Jones with you here on FSN. Louisiana Tech with the football to start the second quarter. 3rd and 5 from the 20 for the Bulldogs. And the pass is complete. Holland, he motors forward near the 34-yard line, and that will move the chains. And Tech's first completion for positive yards for Champion and crew today. But, you know, all things considered for a young quarterback, not a young, necessarily young quarterback, inexperienced, right. He wasn't shell-shocked in the first quarter.
No, I think that as his team generated confidence, so did he, and that's a pretty good throw. And, you know, you look at Holland. Why is he that open? Well, he's the speed guy. He runs a 10-400 meters. He was a 60 and 200-meter champ in his conference, indoor track and field. I mean, he can fly. You got to give him room.
Champion gets 14 on that play. Patrick here looking for an edge. And the sideline is shut down at the 40-yard line. Barry Turner came up with that fumble recovery earlier. Makes the play there. He's a sophomore from Antioch, Tennessee.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin Cosgrove, the defense coordinator, is not fool around. Barry Cryer lost the edge and contained a little bit, and he was immediately taken out of the football game. I mean, you know, they have so many effective defensive linemen. Nebraska will roll 8 defensive linemen in up front and 6 linebackers. Their front 7 is 14 deep, and they're all good football players.
Competition for position creates urgency for the players, and certainly they've got that opportunity here on a 2nd down and 3. Jackson again carrying the football close to the first down, but a little shy, it appears, as Dillard makes the tackle. Phillip is a sophomore out of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You know, it's interesting when you watch Louisiana Tech, they're totally opposite of Nebraska. Nebraska running a lot of motion, a lot of formation, a lot of personnel groups. Louisiana Tech is very, very basic. They're running about 3 or 4 different formations. No audibilization, check with knees at the line of scrimmage. They're not putting the burden of responsibility on Zach Champion. They're not making him win the game, just manage it.
3rd and 1, and Jackson tries to squirt forward. The ball popped loose, but they had whistled it dead, and he does have the first down. Dillard was there making the stop for the Huskers. Jackson, a sophomore out of Edgar, Louisiana. Last year ran for 367 yards and 6 scores. Great kick return man, and averaged over 27 yards per return last year.
You know, one of the big plays in this football game, and Coach Darlington's got to be excited about it, is when Louisiana Tech fumbled the punt, and on a sudden change, his defense rose to the occasion. Quinn Harris, the linebacker, tipped it, and it was intercepted. That was a big play.
7-0 Nebraska. Champion wanting a big play. Holland got the big play. Complete inside the 20 of the Huskers as Grigsby was covering Holland to the best of his ability. But the senior from Archibald, Louisiana rolls for 36 yards.
And that's what Louisiana Tech wants. They know it's going to be tough going 10, 12 play drives against Nebraska. So what do? You have the speed guy on the edge just run a go route. He's basically a skinny post, and he does a nice job of getting inside of Grigsby, and the protection's good enough. And, you know, they have skilled people to get the football to if they keep Champion on his feet to deliver it.
2 receivers set wide right. Patrick, the tailback, to hand it off to it. Turns the corner. 15 cuts it up and stumbled near the 10-yard line. It'll be a 1st and goal now for Louisiana Tech as Shanley makes the tackle. Andrew is a senior out of St. Edward, Nebraska, but 11 yards for Patrick Jackson.
Well, Jack Bicknell is excited about this because the game is not too big for his young football team. And excellent on the perimeter, excellent blocking. Looking down the football field, Anthony James comes off the double team and gets to the next level. He blocks 2 on that play. Anthony James, the captain of the football team, 6'6", 257-pounder. He can get it done, and he did it that time for Patrick Johnson.
1st and goal from the 9 officially. Champion got loose down to near the 6, inside the 6-yard line, where Tierre Green, a strong safety, makes the tackle.
You know, and we talked about Louisiana Tech's mantra is anytime, anywhere. You know, they've gone to Tuscaloosa and won. They've gone to East Lansing and won. They've upset Fresno State when they were top. You know, last year they upset them in the last game of the season after Fresno State had a heck of a run all year long. Louisiana Tech, they know how to play well in the big games.
2nd down and goal from the 6-yard line. Champion got some time, still got some time, and now has to throw it away. Looking for Anthony James, but he was double covered in the end zone.
And that's a smart play. When you're this deep into the red zone, inside the 10-yard, you don't take a quarterback sack, you lose yards, and you don't turn it over. You throw the football away, and you live for another down. Now it's 3rd down. You still have another shot to score. And you don't take a sack. You don't jeopardize, put your team in jeopardy by making a poor decision. Get the field goal. Get some points on the board.
Newman and Holland go wide left. Wheeler wide right on a 3rd and goal from the 6 for Louisiana Tech. Trying to knot it up. They trail 7-0. Champion looking for Holland. Holland wanted a flag. There was a flag, but it was thrown in the backfield, and it's against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Jay Moore says he was held. Jay Moore on the edge said they grabbed me. Good pass rushing defensive end for the Cornhuskers. Let's take a look at him right here, see what does happen. He does get grabbed a little bit and taken to the turf. Yeah, Constantine got his money's worth.
Well, he's smart. He's already graduated. Not smart enough to get away with that one.
Yeah, he's got his degree in economics already. It's pretty strong. The kid understands time management.
So Louisiana Tech try to settle for 3 here. And Horwadell, the WAC leader among active kickers and field goals made with 26. 18 of 26 last year, as long as a 46-yarder. Sets up the 13 for a 23-yarder and connects. So, Louisiana Tech is on the board on the field goal by Danny Horwadell, and it's a 7-3 game. Nebraska with a 7-3 lead as Louisiana Tech connects on a 23-yard field goal to get back on the board. Tomorrow night, don't miss an FSN special event. It's the story of a team who discovered that heart was their greatest strength. Eye of the Storm premieres tomorrow. That's right after TCU and Baylor, right here on FSN.
You know, Bill, the Bengals drafted a guy named Andrew Whitworth, a second-round draft pick out of LSU, and he was telling me that he organized a couple of 18-foot trailers to go through campus and collect all kinds of items for victims of Katrina and how the football team got all involved, and he was a ringleader in that thing. It's a heck of a story, boy. It really is.
Ostriker with the kickoff attempt here. Green inside the 15, and now takes it out to the 25 and falls just over near the 26-yard line. A 14-yard return. Our Super 8 scoring drive for Louisiana Tech and Coach Bicknell. 12 plays, 80 yards. 5:33 is what it took, and that's important too, Dave. They want to eat some clock here and keep this thing as tight as they can.
The saving grace for Nebraska on that is the field position. They covered 80 yards in 12 plays. I mean, if Louisiana Tech wasn't backed up, it would have been an easier score. But, I mean, to go 12 plays against that black shirt defense is pretty good execution. Jack Bicknell has to be happy about that. His football team responded to the touchdown that Nebraska scored by generating a score of their own. Now let's see what Taylor and the Huskers can do on a 1st and 10. Little play action. He got hammered hard, and it is incomplete. No flag thrown. Intended for Nate Swift. Tony Moss in coverage. The senior. He's the one with the experience back there. And Zach Taylor, little play action pass. This is the life of the quarterback. You deliver the football and you get smoked. And he was sacked 36 of the 38 times that his offense broke down. He got beaten up a lot last year, and many times he never saw completions take place. And they're trying to do a better job of protecting him this season.
McGilton applying the hammer there. 2nd and 10 from the 26, and they come back to the run game. Not much doing, though, for Cody Glenn as a stuffing hit. He forced himself to get a yard or two. Chad Beveridge was there and listened in on this pop.
Man, I'll tell you what, some big hits. This is a good job of playing your gap responsibility, and I'll tell you, that was a big hit by Marvin Lubin right there as he filled his gap control responsibility beautifully, and man, he brought the leather now. He brought it all.
Lubin applying the big hit. Taylor got good protection here and completes it out to the 40-yard line. Nicely done as Hardy on the reception before he goes out of bounds. Anthony Moss beaten on the play. And Taylor to Hardy for 13 yards, and that'll move the chains for Nebraska.
Hardy's excited because his first opportunity couldn't quite get his foot in bounds, incomplete, and then one bounced off his shoulder pads. This time he gets the hands out there and makes a good reception. And it all starts up front. Look at the protection. A great lane for Zach Taylor. His vision totally unimpeded. You give a quarterback that much time and that much opportunity to visualize down the field, you're in trouble.
It's 3 of 9 for 54 yards. Got a touchdown strike to Harrion earlier. Little pump fake. Now flushed out of the pocket. Got a little room. 40, 45, and then diving for the first down marker that was midfield. He comes up short by a yard, but nicely done on a 1st and 10 as Harris putting the pressure on him, and he picks up around 9.
I think Murtha is going to be called for holding. I think Murtha may have gotten caught with his hand in the cookie jar here. I think this one's going to be negated. Big left tackle for Nebraska, and he's coming off the field right now.
Holding. 76 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
It is Lyden Murtha. Murtha, 6'7", 315-pound sophomore from Hutchinson, Minnesota.
Here he is on the very edge, and And he jams, and then all of a sudden jams again, locks up and grabs that left hand and takes him to the turf. He can't do the takedown.
Brings up first down,
Keep the hands inside. Now it's Quinn Harris, the linebacker. You don't have to grab the linebackers, just jam them away from you.
Now 1st and 20, the ball on the 30-yard line. And they dump it right over the middle. And out across 45, and Lucky is just short of that first down as he got 18 on that pop right there. And Des Abrams makes the tackle in the secondary.
This is just a great call by Jay Norvell because, it's 1st and 20. What are you going to do? You're going to heat him up. So all you do is slide the back out of there and run the little middle screen. And basically the linebackers are vacated on the blitz. Draws and screens when you're expecting a big pass rusher. Great calls. That was a good job.
Taylor now 4 of 10 for 73. Lucky getting his first reception. 4 different receivers have made catches today. Back on the ground, Cody Glenn carries the football for the first down to the 48-yard line of Louisiana Tech, where Chad Beveridge makes the tackle for the Bulldogs.
Boy, how nice a scenario is it for you as a head coach to have 4 quality running backs that give you a little different dimension, every one of them. One's a make-you-miss guy, one's a downhill guy, one's a vision guy. And they all bring something to the table. And, they have to be unselfish. When you're tired, raise your hand, get out of there, let the next guy in. Keeping them all happy is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, that will be difficult because they've all got some serious talent. 7-3, Nebraska wanting more, and Lucky goes to the 45-yard line, picks up a couple here. Lucky getting a 6th carry. Glenn with 4, Jackson and Wilson. Jackson with 1, Wilson with 2. As Smith and Abrams make the tackle. And that's been a big story up in Nebraska from the Husker faithful. Hey, we want a starter. Who's it going to be, Coach? And, well, we can only list 2 co-starters, and then they're actually going to play 4. And so far, they've lived up to their word. It's just moving people in and out by field.
Lucky, he basically said no to USC. He's a Hollywood, California guy, said no, I want to go to Nebraska.
2nd and 8 from the 45. And Lucky trying to take it to the house. Stopped at the 34-yard line. Abrams the tackle after a 12-yard gain. And the chains move again for Nebraska. They're starting to develop some real momentum here.
Yeah, this is just an inside zone play with a lead block by the fullback. Does a nice job, and tremendous acceleration by Lucky. The boys just double teaming coming off the linebacker level, and Lucky keeping his head up because he's got those tremendous eyes. Boy, does he have great vision, and he can feel the cuts before they happen.
1st and 10 at the 34 for the Huskers. Todd, the man in motion. They come right back to Lucky. Slips by one man, then cuts it up. Tell you what, that was a terrific run, even though he may have only gotten 5 or so. Torrance Hampton makes the tackle. Boy, talk about vision.
Yeah, vision, and then he thumped Lubin. And this was good contact. Lubin bringing it, but Lucky said, you know what, I'm going to lower my shoulder and thump you. That's a pretty good job right there. And, man, he just got after it, and Hampton was worse for wear after that play as well. He ran over the little defensive back.
Glenn replaces Lucky now. 2nd and 4. Ball at the 28 after that 6-yard gain by Lucky. Glenn gets the carry. Well, what do you need for motivation, huh, Dave? As he stopped at 5, ball loose.
I think it was blown dead, though.
I did too. All these running backs knowing that, hey, you never know when you're going to get in the rotation again. You better make great effort.
You're exactly right. Competition breeds excellence of performance. I mean, that's a coach's dream, is to have multiple players that you can count on and rely on, and you get after it. Bill Callahan loves the competition because cream rises to the top, and there's nothing wrong with having, 3 or 4 guys that can bring that cream.
Lucky saying, hey, I'm first in line. I'm right here, Coach. I am your man. Bill Callahan starting his 3rd year here with Nebraska. Hopefully it'll be a breakthrough year. And you keep getting runs like that from Cody Glenn, toughing his way down to the 19, and they just might be right.
Yeah, they're starting to thump down there. Offensive lineman Andy Christensen lost his helmet. And, a guy that's doing a good job on this drive is the fullback, Dane Todd. He's like another lineman. Dane Todd is a 4.0 grade point average fullback, and this is Nebraska football that people remember, being physical, pounding you between the tackles, and Nebraska wants to set the tone and establish a little nastiness, a little attitude in the running game.
So Brown lost his hat for Louisiana Tech on that play as well. 1st and 10 at the 19. Lucky pulling a couple with him.
Number 20.
Gets down to the 13-yard line where Brandon Jackson, the Mike linebacker, a junior out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, the stopper for the Bulldogs.
You know what this gives you, too, when you have multiple running backs and you're on an extended drive, the defense starts to get a little tired, and you bring fresh legs in at the running back position. That's a tough deal because, you know, now you've got somebody that isn't as exhausted as you are defensively, and the big offensive linemen are pounding you, and in comes a new running back. That's a tough deal.
Nebraska 82 yards on the ground so far this half. They averaged 96 a game last year. Lucky sees a hole. Goodbye. Touchdown, Nebraska. 13-yard TD run for Marlon Lucky. And it's Nebraska with another 6, and it's 13-3.
You know, when they went on that nice tear to finish the season in the bowl game against Michigan, they rushed for 161 yards. And that was a good sign for Nebraska, getting that running game going. I mentioned earlier the West Coast offense. In order for it to be successful, you have to run the football well. When we were at our best running that offense, we led the NFL in rushing yards a couple of years. And it's a lot easier to throw the football effectively when you're running it that well.
Congdon, the sophomore from San Diego, last year did 31 of 32 PATs. He's 2 of 2 to start 2006. As Lucky gets his first career touchdown, and the Huskers push the lead to 14-3 over Louisiana Tech. College football on FSN is presented by Kyocera Wireless. Take your texting to the next level with the Kyocera Strobe. Kyocera Wireless reminds you to dial responsibly. And brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. By Dr. Pepper. 23 flavors that add up to one bold taste. Dr. Pepper, there's more to it. And by Overstock.com. Search, shop, and save up to 70% at Overstock.com. Huskers kick it off. Louisiana Tech on the return. And breaking it out near the 35-yard line. A 27-yard return for Weldon Brown. And Louisiana Tech, pretty good operating position, but trailing 14-3. We'll be right back on FSN.
Mike Goldberg, DeMarco Farr, Billy Ray Smith. Good catch. I'm getting set for the College Football Saturday halftime report. Texas looked good earlier. Ohio State looks good right now.
What's better than one Heisman Trophy candidate? How about two? Troy Smith and Ted Ginn Jr.
I'll tell you, Texas got to replace Vince Young. Going to be very difficult.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear you guys argue at halftime. We'll see you then. Back to you, Bill.
All right, thank you very much, Mike, as it will be fun. So stay with us here. As far as halftime, we're 5:35 away on the Kyocera College Football Saturday on FSN. This is the middle game of a triple header. UCLA and Utah to follow. Champion fumbles the snap on a 1st and 10 for Louisiana Tech. Bulldogs down 14-3 to Nebraska here in Lincoln. Lance Brandenburg was right there for Nebraska. Smothered champion.
Yeah, you don't want to have those kind of mistakes. Center quarterback exchange, the simple things. Now you find yourself in the same situation as if your quarterback was sacked or you had a tackle for loss. You drop the football and give up 3 yards to a defense you don't want to go backwards against.
Champion 3 of 9 for 49 yards. Long has been a 35-yarder today. Passing here, 2nd and 13. We'll find out. Yep. Got protection. And it is complete, and once again to Holland, and he shows some toughness as well as elusiveness as he breaks a tackle, and Grigsby brings him down, but not before he picks up 17 yards.
You're right, Bill. Here comes Nebraska on a little blood cross with the linebackers, and it's picked up very effectively by Louisiana Tech. They bring both inside linebackers. That gives you one-on-one coverage outside, and Louisiana Tech, as we said, they've got some skilled people on the perimeter. I mean, Holland is a legitimate speedster, and you have to respect his speed as a corner, and that's exactly what's going on for Grigsby out there, and Champion hit him.
1st and 10 at the 48, and running back Freddie Franklin wheels out of bounds after crossing midfield stripe. He's at the 49 of Nebraska where Grigsby makes the tackle. Key possession for Louisiana Tech, Dave, down in the situation like they are 14-3 and and realize to maybe kill some clock and get a score here, it's a whole different game.
Absolutely. You have to respond. I mean, you're down 2 scores now. You want to keep this game close. You want to keep it close into the second half. Rixby's the player that's down, that's being examined by the medical staff. But you want to hang around. The longer you hang around, the more your confidence builds, and that's when upsets occur. You can't let Nebraska extend a 2-score lead. They're up 11 right now. You have to respond to it.
All right, that is Grixby that is holding up the game now with his injury. Earlier, Dillard went down, and Emily Jones with more on his condition.
Well, guys, what the trainers have told me down here on the Nebraska sidelines, it is a left knee injury. Dillard will not return. He's still being examined on the sidelines.
All right, thank you, Emily. And, boy, the injuries so often end up becoming the determining factor in a college football season. It is such a long year when everybody playing 12 games this year. In fact, Louisiana Tech will play 13. You've got to keep people healthy, depth or not.
And knee injuries are crazy. I remember when Kijana Carter blew his ACL. He walked off the field, started high-stepping. You have such strong quads and hamstrings. You don't know how badly you're hurting that knee.
2nd and 7 for Champion. Overthrows Wheeler. Pressure was put on Champion as well. There's Josh, a sophomore out of Texarkana, Texas. 7 receptions last year. What does he go, about 6'10 and a half high jump?
Yeah, he was a 6'11 guy in high school, and he's 6'4", and you have an injury in coverage. As he tried to come back on the play, Fluellen went down. And Fluellen, as he's trying to provide coverage, this field turf is just reaching up and grabbing guys. I'm telling you, on artificial turf, you won't find 17, 20-year careers in the NFL anymore. This turf is just tough. A lot of times you have non-contact injuries, which is going on out here now.
So Fluellen, who moved over from the offensive side, and their secondary is certainly an area of concern here in Nebraska. Now a couple of injuries. We'll be right back. 14-3 Huskers. Nebraska tending to some injuries. 52 is Dillard, and I believe that is Fluellen on the other side of him as they work things on that sideline. Meanwhile, Louisiana Tech, there's Fluellen, I beg your pardon. They got injuries all over the place. And it is 3rd down and 7 for the Bulldogs. They're on the 49 of Nebraska. Plenty of time, 3:55 to go in this first half. Zach Champion. And juggled, but ruled a completion as it is taken by, once again, Jonathan Holland. Brothers making the tackle.
And why not attack that spot? Fluellen goes out. You got to bring Brothers in. Now, Brothers he's the second nickel player. Fluellen's the number 1 nickel guy. Titus Brothers is the number 2 nickel guy, depending on rotation. Well, there's no Fluellen anymore, so for the rest of the game, Titus Brothers is the nickel defensive back. When Louisiana Tech goes multiple receivers, and they will, they're going to go 3 wides a ton because that's the best way for them to attack. That's where their skill is. 3 wide receivers, and they're going to stay in that formation a bunch when Nebraska's struggling at corner.
The Champion 5 and 12 for 73 yards on a 1st and 10. Hands it up to Freddie Franklin. Franklin is tripped up at the 40-yard line of Nebraska. Franklin, a junior out of New Orleans. He ran for 448 yards last year and 4 scores and a 4.9 per carry mark. McEwen makes the tackle for Nebraska.
And he's a very, very valuable player because of his versatility. If one of the receivers gets tired or nicked up, fast Freddie Franklin goes to the wide receiver position. He's got versatility. He's obviously got great hands, got an ability to run the football. Coaches love to have Freddie Franklins around.
2nd and 8 at the 40. Champion time again, incomplete, intended for Wheeler.
Pass intended for number 81.
Stops the clock with 2:43 to go in the half. Brothers covering on the play.
Wheeler trying to run a little pivot route to the sideline, and it looked like the turf grabbed him. As he tried to pivot out of there, he fell down and went to the turf. As the field turf dries up, it gets tacky. It almost gives you too much traction.
Yeah, as you join us here, if you haven't been with us throughout the telecast, a lot of rain this morning and showers, then stopped right about game time. So the turf is yet to dry out. And Nebraska suffering a number of injuries here in just the last few minutes. 3rd down and 8, ball on the 40. Champion going deep, and it is complete. Oh, mama! Wow. Touchdown! What a play Shanley beaten, and Champion delivers to who else but Jonathan Holland for 40 yards.
A one-handed catch with his left hand. Blitz pickup. It started with the protection. The Nebraska Cornhuskers blitzed with the linebackers. Here come the backers, and the protection's there. And you get one-on-one. Look at this left-handed, one-handed catch. That is sweet sugar. Unbelievable to control the football with the left hand and bring it into the body. Big time, big play, and that's what Louisiana Tech wanted. A big play or two to keep them in the hunt.
And Horwedel with the point after attempt. And it is good. So, Louisiana Tech, they got a field goal earlier. They get the touchdown on a 40-yard play. Champion to Holland with a sensational grab.
Great throw, better catch. And, boy, look at the concentration on Holland. I mean, Holland, Champion says, I got it out there. Can he do it? I mean, I don't think I can overthrow Holland, can I? I mean, this guy's faster than lightning. and Holland outran the football. He literally outran the football, extended that left hand, and made just a miraculous catch. And then tiptoed the sideline. I mean, as soon as he caught the ball, he got his eyes right to the sideline, knowing how he had to keep his feet in bounds to get inside the pylon for the touchdown. Boy, gold star on the forehead of Holland. And a big assist to Champion, giving him an opportunity out there.
Yeah, would it surprise you to know that Holland was the WAC indoor 60-meter champion?
Boy, the blitz pickup, you can see it here, giving him protection. And, boy, just a perfect ball. And Holland, you can't say enough. And, of course, he hurdles the barrier into the stands, into the seats. A little celebration. Boy, that is something else.
And Champion gets his first career touchdown pass. The Super 8 scoring drive for Louisiana Tech. 8 plays, 67 yards. Required just 3:09. If there's a negative, it's that Nebraska gets the ball back if you're Louisiana Tech with 2:36 to go. And if the Huskers needed to be slapped around a little bit, that certainly ought to have gotten their attention.
Well, we were talking about the Huskers had a 2-score lead. They were up 11. Louisiana Tech had to answer. And how would they answer? Well, they certainly answered. Boy, Champion to Holland was a big-time answer. And now with the injuries that Nebraska has at cornerback, that is what Louisiana Tech is going to do over and over again. If the protection stays solid, picking up the blitz, they're going to have those receivers isolated one-on-one out in the perimeter.
Green and Wilson deep as Horwedel with the short kick. And the ball is smothered by Nebraska. And the clock, remember, starting the moment the ball is kicked. And the clock running, and they call a...
Brandenburg fell on it, recovered the football.
And they stop it here at 2:31. First down line is brought to you by Overstock.com. Search, shop, and save up to 70% at Overstock.com. And now they start that clock again as soon as they feel the ball ready to play for the officials. And Nebraska will operate. Taylor, little play action, and then dumps it off to Marlon Lucky. Close to a first down. We'll see where they mark it. Let's drop it down now to Emily Jones, more on those injuries.
Well, guys, you talked about those Nebraska injuries. It looks like Courtney Grigsby is suffering from a right shoulder injury. However, he will return to the game. Meantime, though, Isaiah Fluellen will not return. He's got a left knee injury.
Thanks, Emily. Fluellen and Dillard out for the day, and Grigsby to return. Taylor hit as he fires, and it is complete at the 34-yard line.
Taylor's pass complete to number 83.
Terrence Dunn made the catch. Did a good job of securing the football as he was going to the turf.
Hampton covering that time for the Bulldogs. The hurry up for Nebraska. 1:46 and counting here for a 2nd and 6 from the 36. Taylor, good protection. Overthrows. None.
Now you find yourself in a 3rd and must situation. Right now you don't want to give the ball back to Louisiana Tech, even though there's only a minute and 39 seconds to play. You want to go down the football field yourself offensively and at least put a field goal on the board and go up by a touchdown. You're not even a field goal. You're better than a field goal lead, but a touchdown, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you get in a hurry up, and then you say, well, wait a minute. We don't get the first down here. We're in trouble. Taylor to throw. And Harrion dodges a man. They got the first down, and Harrion Harrion, who scored a TD earlier, takes it down to the 47-yard line where Antonio Baker makes the tackle after a 20-yard gain.
Well, Harrion gave a little dipsy-do to Mark Hilliard. Watch Dillard right here. And here he comes, trying to make the tackle. Whoops! Uh-oh, little laundry left on the field, and Matt Harrion's down the football field for some extra yards after catch, showing a nice ability to change direction.
Harrion's second-team all-conference in 03 and 04, even though 04 he only played in 8 games when he suffered that broken leg and then missed all of last year and came back through the spring and summer.
Ball start. 50 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You have a deal with the center, and he's a good one. Kurt Mann double clutch. You can't start a snap and then stop it. He forgot the snap count and started to move the football before he started to move.
Yeah. A graduate with a 3.98 GPA didn't forget anything. Somebody else had to screw up, right? Couldn't have been his fault. This guy is something else. Taylor jumps it over the middle and none. Rolls to the out-of-bounds marker at the 35-yard line. And Nebraska back in business. 1:09 to go. 17-yard pickup. Baker there to force him out.
Doing a nice job is Nebraska of clearing out the intermediate areas with receivers and then doing shallow crosses to take advantage of the voided spot. Good scheme, good execution by Zach Taylor. A good call by offensive coordinator Jay Norvell.
5 different receivers have caught from Zach Taylor so far today. Taylor 7 of 14 for 104. Firing deep for the flag thrown. It is complete inside the 5-yard line. And on the reception is Nate Swift before Dillard wrestles him down. A 30-yard pickup if it will stand.
Well, this is what Coach Callahan was talking about. Playing clean, and we have had a touchdown run negated by a holding penalty. This one by a personal foul penalty. Let's take a look and see what right here you have Kurt Mann jacking up the face mask in the interior of Joshua Muse, the big nose guard, who's the best player for that defense. Josh Muse, the lifter of the year. Look at this, almost ripping that helmet off. Kurt Mann and Josh Muse, man, you gotta that one's got to be called. That's illegal. It's hand-to-hand combat, but you can't get up in the headgear. You have to protect against those neck injuries. Kurt Mann has had back-to-back penalties, basically, or 2 penalties in 3 snaps where he had the faking the start of the play with a false start, and then he had the personal foul, so he's cost his offense 20 yards in 3 snaps, and that one was more than 20 because the play ended up inside the 10-yard line, so basically that's about a 40-yard penalty right there.
Nebraska, last year, 0 penalties in their season opener. This year, they've had 4 already here in this first half, and they had Wilson's touchdown run called back, and they did not recover from that.
Right.
And now they've got 101 to try to see if they can get back down into scoring territory. They're at their 49 of Louisiana Tech, where it's 1st and 25 for Taylor and crew. He goes right to work and dishes it out on the wing to France Hardy, the junior out of Miami, Florida. Anthony Moss covering. They pick up 11, and it will be a 2nd down and 14 from the 38-yard line.
The 2 biggest plays that Nebraska has generated offensively have been negated by penalty, and now they're going back to the out patterns, working the sideline, trying to save timeouts and work the clock by getting out of bounds. They have 3 timeouts remaining. Louisiana Tech has 2.
2nd and 14. Taylor. And again, well done that time on the reception is Todd Peterson, sophomore from Grand Island, Nebraska, gets his first reception of the season. Moss covering, 12 yards on the pickup.
And Todd Peterson presents a matchup problem with his 6'4" body. I mean, he's a big, tall, lanky, long-bodied guy. And if Louisiana Tech is going to continue to give the cushion at the cornerback position, they're going to take those, out patterns and just nickel and dime the ball down the field.
None wide right. Harrion tight on the right side. Taylor gives to Lucky. Lucky looks for a hole and bursts to the 21 inside that.
Bill Callahan calls a timeout for the sideline, his first timeout. And coaches can do that. The officials will acknowledge the coaches on the sideline calling the TO. Nebraska has self-destructed a little bit, Bill, like you just said a little while ago. I mean, they had a touchdown called back by holding. Then they were first and goal on a pass play that was called back by a personal foul when man got his hands up to the face mask of Joshua Muse, and that one was negated. So they're going to have to stop beating themselves.
Jack McNell, the head coach of Louisiana Tech, just hoping his club can stiffen enough to force a field goal attempt by Nebraska, and it would be a heck of a half for Louisiana Tech, as this is the start of a meat grinder for Louisiana Tech, as they've also got to go to Texas A&M and Clemson before they open up WAC play against Boise State. Hey, tomorrow, college football special on FSN, presented by Dr. Pepper's. The 21st ranked TCU Horned Frogs will take on the Baylor Bears. Showdown between in-state rivals. Coverage begins at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, only on FSN. My partner, Dave Lapham, headed down to the Lone Star State after this one. We'll join Joel Myers and Jim Knox for that one, as Joel and Gary Reasons and Knoxie today. We're in Austin, where Texas hammered University of North Texas in the first game of our Kyocera College Football Saturday triple header. Right here, it's Louisiana Tech on the short side, 14-10. See what Taylor's done on this drive. And then don't forget, later on, UCLA and Utah will complete our first day of college football coverage here on FSN. 43 seconds to go in the half. 1st and 10, ball on the 21. Taylor. Complete Swift. And he is stopped inside the 10, down to the 9-yard line. A 12-yard gain for the Huskers. Jackson there for Louisiana Tech. Coming up at halftime, Mike Goldberg, Billy Ray Smith, and DeMarco Farr will have it all for you. Top 25 scores and highlights. And a preview. Ohio State and Texas coming up next week.
Part 2. What a game last year when Texas won on just a tremendous play by Vince Young.
Taylor in the end zone. Knocked down, nearly intercepted by the Bulldogs.
Boy, Taylor showed his courage right there, standing in the pocket until the very last second. But boy, it almost made a poor decision. He feels it coming. Here's the hit, lowers the shoulder pad, and cuts him almost right in half. That's Beveridge. And Zach Taylor throws into a crowd trying to hit Matt Harrion. The ball is tipped. He's very fortunate that was not a turnover, because that wasn't one of his best decisions. He showed tremendous courage as Beveridge was closing in on him.
Yeah, Harris is the one that had the shot at the interception. So Louisiana Tech trying to answer defensively. 19 seconds remaining. Remember, Nebraska still a couple of timeouts to go. First, and they're at the 14. Taylor got all day. Also got Swift. He cuts it up. He is short.
Well, he put a move on Des Abrams that was phenomenal in the open field. 11 seconds to go.
Swift on the play, 13 yards.
Watch the move that he makes after the reception on the shallow cross here. Here comes, down we go. I mean, that's just an incredible effort. Abrams can't keep up with it. He gets him in his sights, takes him to the sideline, plants, cuts. Abrams slips out of there, goes down to the turf. He almost took it to the house. He was trying to turn it upfield and get his shoulder pad squared up to get it over the goal line. Could not quite get it done.
And you've heard about Nebraska's injuries. Now Louisiana Tech with Mark Dillard, who was their leading rusher last year, was on the defensive side of things this year, and he is being helped up. That's what he did last year as a running back. Moved over to the defensive side of things. Dillard, a junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
He's okay. He just got something wrong. I think the way he's going off the field, did he get poked? Yeah, he's grabbing that left eye like he get poked in the eye. So he'll be back in the fray. He's going to have to leave for a snap because medical attention came out in the field. He's going to have to go off to the sideline for one play, but he can return immediately thereafter.
All right, Nebraska, second down at the 1-yard line. Second and goal, but 11 seconds remaining in this first half. And it's a 14-10 Nebraska lead. Trying to add to it. And the ball carrier, Glenn, is in for a touchdown. Cody Glenn, a sophomore from Rusk, Texas.
6 feet, 230 pounds. He's the downhill guy. That's a nice body to have at the running back position, short yardage and goal line. Low center of gravity. He's going to follow his fullback, his lead blocker. He gets the help, the lead block, and then he runs through a couple of tackles. That's just a big, powerful human being right there that Deion Young can't control, as well as Des Abrams.
7 carries, 22 yards. His first touchdown, had 4 a year ago. Here is Jordan Condon for the point after. And he punches it through. So the Huskers answer that Tech touchdown, and it's now 21-10. Nebraska by 11 with just 7 seconds remaining in the half. There is Glenn.
Well, 2 things you got to like about this drive. Like you mentioned, Bill, they responded to Louisiana Tech's big play. And number 2, they responded to their self-destruction. I mean, they're at first and goal with a big play, and it's nullified by penalty, and they keep their nose to the grindstone and keep getting after it and score a touchdown anyway. That's a good sign to overcome that type of, a little bit of adversity. They said, the heck with it. We're still going to punch this thing in the end zone and build ourselves to a 2-score lead.
Huskers coming off an 8-4 campaign last year, 4-4 in the Big 12, and they've been picked by most to win the North. Iowa State is the other chief contender. The Cyclones, close calls the last 2 years and have not gotten to that championship game. They had a close call in their opener the other night against Toledo before winning in a triple overtime. Bill Callahan says, yes, this is our best team, should be. A lot of enthusiasm here in Lincoln, but they have certainly gotten a tussle on their hands from Louisiana Tech in this first half here today.
Well, different ways to approach it. Louisiana Tech goes long distance with a big play, and then Nebraska comes back and goes on an 11-play drive. Ball control eating the clock up. That's one way to keep an explosive big play offense off the board, is keep them on the sideline and just control the clock with your offense.
Here's a kickoff, 7 seconds. Remember, the clock starts the moment the ball is touched on the kickoff. This will be it. And Louisiana Tech trying to break it, and nothing doing for Jackson on the play as Patrick is wrestled down near the 28-yard line, and that'll end our first half of the season opener. Nebraska and the Husker faithful support them with a record crowd on hand, and it's 21-10 Huskers here in this first half over Louisiana Tech. Tech shut out in the first quarter, got 10 in the second period, and it's now a 21-10 game here as they head to the locker room for the halftime break. Let's send it down to Emily Jones with head coach Bill Callahan of the Huskers.
Coach Callahan, you're up 21-10. It could be a lot more. You guys have shot yourselves in the foot a little bit.
Somewhat. You know, I thought that we gave up a cheap penalty down on the 1 score, but I thought we responded well. Our kids got good focus. As long as we can clean up a couple minor penalties, we'll be in good shape.
You said all week in this West Coast offense, you guys were going to pound the ball. You averaged 96 yards a game last season. You've already got 100.
Well, we're trying to establish the run. I think our linemen are doing an excellent job, and just got to keep maintaining the consistency of what we're trying to get established here.
All right, Coach, best of luck in the second half. All right, guys, it is 21-10 Nebraska over Louisiana Tech. We'll have the second half coming up in a little bit. First, it's time to kick it to our boys in L.A.
Emily, thank you very much. Welcome to the College Football Saturday Halftime Report. Mike Goldberg alongside the Super Bowl, the national champion DeMarco Farr, our Hall of Famer Billy Ray Smith. And, all right, here's the situation. I'm watching Jonathan Holland make that great catch, and I'm thinking to myself, could DeMarco do that? No, first of all, your arms are too short. Secondly, your hamstrings are way too tight. You'd be laying on the field if you tried to do that.
If he threw a roast beef sandwich, I would have caught him with one hand.
Absolutely.
Come on. There's not a chance.
No, the guy's an athlete, let me tell you.
Not like that guy.
Some things that worry me about Nebraska. We talked about that Nebraska defense. Couple of alignment problems. You see those safeties running around. They're not sure where they're lining up against that La Tech offense.
Well, I think that the key thing is that they have so many people that they run into their defense. They're 3 and 4 deep, and they keep running the players out there to get a little bit more experience for them, some of these younger players in the defensive front. And I got to tell you, if they just had their starters, put them out there, I think they'd be dominating Louisiana Tech right now.
Missed opportunities.
Yes, indeed. And you wouldn't have jumped over the barrier. You would have run right through it, by the way. Coming up, a great game last year as Vince Young led Texas to the upset win at the Horseshoe. Are we in store for another one next week? Number 1 against number 2. We go in-depth as someone takes a huge step towards the desert. Next on the Halftime Report. Welcome back to the College Football Saturday halftime report. Marlon Lucky with one of 2 rushing touchdowns in the first half for the number 22 Cornhuskers. They lead at the break 21-10. All right, let's go around the nation to the Horseshoe. Number 1 Ohio State hosting Northern Illinois. Did not take long for Troy Smith to start firing on all cylinders.
Let's answer some questions here. How strong is Troy Smith's arm? Well, it looks fast there. It looks good to me. Touchdown, corner of the end zone. Again, how fast is Ted Ginn Jr.? This fast. He has to slow down for the football. Amazing. Another touchdown for Ohio State. Again, let's answer another question, okay? How accurate, how relaxed does Troy Smith look in the pocket? Looks pretty good to me. Finds the receiver. Touchdown again. Troy Smith says, I'm bored. I don't want to throw any more touchdowns. I'm going to hand it off this time. Touchdown again. Ohio State is rolling. Look out, BR. They're coming.
Ohio State has won their last 27 home openers and won a home opener for this season for Troy Smith.
Troy Smith was spectacular today, as he has been for the Buckeyes. Big number is 0. He's not turning the ball over. The guy's doing what he has to do as quarterback.
Speaking of quarterbacks, the new kid on the block, the young Colt, starting for the first time ever for number 2 Texas earlier today here on FSN against North Texas. This his first career touchdown pass.
How do you like that? Lima Swede, they have unbelievable speed at wide receiver at Texas, and they have depth there too. Colt McCoy is going to benefit from that.
Colt McCoy is also going to benefit from running backs like Selvin Young, wide receivers like Swede, and Jamal Charles. He would find Swede again in the third quarter.
And a nice move on the quarterback, a little stiff arm up the sideline, turns on the speed, another.
Looks like he has a red jersey on.
It's unbelievable. And look at the moves here.
That kid's tough.
Jamal Charles, touchdown, Texas.
Texas has outscored North Texas 148-7 in their last 3 games, and the freshman, not bad at all.
Colt McCoy doing the job. 3 touchdowns, 0 picks against North Texas. We'll see what happens against Ohio State.
That game will be next week, and now the head coach, Mack Brown, can officially look forward to the battle of number 1 against number 2, Ohio State at Texas.
It'll be a magical night because they've got such a storied history and great program like we do. They're number 1. We're number 2 or 3, depending on the poll. We had such a great game last year that ended up mattering. Or making a difference, at the end of the year. So this one does matter, and it's why people go to Ohio State, and it's why people come to Texas to coach and play.
Well, Mack Brown is right. I'll tell you what, it was a long arms. It was a magical night 1 year ago at the Horseshoe in BR. I think it might have been a magical night for Ohio State if Justin Zwick and Troy Smith.
Comfortable the guy is. The guy looks like a dancer in the pocket, that he's just going through dance steps. That's how smooth they are on the offensive side of the football. The question is, what about the defensive side? They're replacing 9 of the 11 starters. That's going to be problems against Texas's offense.
When you talk about that Texas defense, the thing that keeps jumping out at me, they only forced 11 turnovers. That was tied for 3rd to last in the Big 12. Did you see Troy Smith today? Zing, pop, bang. He doesn't make turnovers. It's going to be tough next week for Texas.
It will be a wonderful matchup of number 1 and number 2 next week. You want a ticket? Forget about it. I'll tell you what, I want a ticket to this show. This is where DeMarco pulls his hamstring right here, but Jonathan Holland does not. 40-yard touchdown reception. Nebraska leads 21-10. This is the College Football Saturday halftime report. After averaging 96 rushing yards per game last season, Nebraska's already rushed for 101 yards in the first half, and because of that, they lead 21-10. More ahead as we continue right here on the College Football Saturday halftime report on FSN. Marco, number 22 Nebraska, because of the late touchdown, has a comfortable lead. Are they out of the woods yet, though?
Absolutely not. They have to keep running the football, keep running that zone play with Marlon Lucky. 4.1 yards per carry. Keep it going.
Louisiana Tech has a quarterback named Zach Champion. I mean, come on. This guy can lead him back if anybody can.
Hey, so can that dude Holland, the one who made the great catch. So it is far from over. So enjoy the second half of your game, Nebraska and Louisiana Tech. This has been the College Football Saturday halftime report. Back to Lincoln when we return on FSN.
This rather unconventional salute to Nebraska's Scarlet and Cream comes from the cream of 20th century artists, as expressed in the world-famous collection at the Sheldon Memorial Art Gallery. on the campus of the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. I think you get the picture. There is no place like Nebraska.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. Kyocera's College Football Saturday as the Huskers lead the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech 21-10. Bill Land along with Dave Lapham here at the break. Impressive first half in some ways for both ball clubs.
Yeah, I think both of them really played as well as they possibly could. Did Nebraska self-destruct a couple of times? Yeah, they did. Louisiana Tech, I thought very early in the football game when they had a sudden change, they fumbled a punt and immediately got the ball back to their offense. I thought that was a telling tale that they're not going to quit in this football game. I think it's going to be a good one down the stretch.
Let's take a look now at our DirecTV stats in the first half, and you will see Nebraska has the edge there, although Louisiana Tech has been able to move the football and have some success as well.
Absolutely. I think third down conversions is a big thing. I mean, you have Louisiana Tech converting at 50%, and Nebraska is converting at 75%. Also in the red zone, Nebraska has been there 4 times and scored 3 touchdowns. But, you know, Lucky is averaging 6 yards a carry. Patrick Jackson is averaging 5.5 for Louisiana Tech. Jonathan Holland is the story of the first half, wide receiver for Louisiana Tech. 5 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. That magnificent one-handed 39-yard touchdown reception was the play of the game at this point in time. And Bill would like to see a little bit more of that. Big plays by both teams in the second half.
All right, thank you, Dave. As we take a look at those numbers, 271-151. Nebraska with the edge there. Emily Jones had a chance to catch up with Jack Bicknell, the head coach of Louisiana Tech.
Coach, you're down 11. It could have been a lot closer had you not given up that drive at the end of the second quarter. Your thoughts on the first half?
Well, our guys are playing hard. That was a tough one. We almost had an interception there at the end. That was tough. But our guys are playing extremely hard. We believe we can play with them. And, we've just got to have a good second half. The key is going to be defensively. We can stop them. If we can't stop them, obviously we're going to be in trouble. We can't let them just jam it down our throat.
What did you tell your team at the break?
I just told them, look, guys, we're right in this game. I said, we can play with these guys, obviously. And I said, just keep playing hard. And don't worry about the scoreboard. Let's just keep playing and keep coming at them.
All right, Coach, best of luck in the second half.
All right, thank you very much, Emily, as Brandenburg takes care of the kickoff, and it's 28-yard line is the official line of scrimmage for the 1st and 10 for Zach Taylor and the Huskers. And with that clock starting, we'll see people, I think, start their offense a little bit quicker as the season moves on, won't you, Dave?
I think they're going to come from the sideline with a play. I agree, Bill, and maybe a couple of plays from the sideline.
And the first play comes off to Cody Glenn, and he is stopped by Wes Day, the sophomore from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Number 94, Wes Day.
Take a look at where Nebraska was successful running the football in the first half. Didn't get much done going to their left. They creased them a little bit up the middle for 78 yards and 23 yards to the right. So between the tackles is where they did the most damage to Louisiana Tech.
Huskers here, 2nd and 7 on the 31. Play action. Taylor, a wide open Harrion, 50, 45, and brought down inside the 40-yard line as Matt Harrion. Collins makes the tackle for the Bulldogs, a 33-yard gain for Nebraska.
That's his 3rd catch for 63 yards. That's pretty tough. Averaging 21 yards per catch. He has a touchdown pass of 17 yards. Got to love Matt Harrion. An easy guy to root for. Somebody that just would not give up, would not quit, even after having a compound fracture of the leg. Matt Harrion is back. Matt Harrion is able to run freely without a limp, and it's great to see.
1st and 10 at the 38 officially. Taylor has all day, still standing strong, and a wide open Swift inside the 20, and he rambles down to the 17-yard line where Moss makes the tackle. A 21-yard pickup. Taylor just passing Jamal Lord, number 7 on the all-time Nebraska passing list. Kind of tells you about their passing game in past years, where a guy who has played one season and half a game is already number 7 all time.
Absolutely. Running that West Coast offense, you're going to rack up some numbers. And obviously Bill Callahan saying, okay, Louisiana Tech's crowding the line of scrimmage to stop our run we established in the first half. Let's open it up.
And they have. And a 3rd one to Terrence Nunn, and he receives the football near the 13-yard line before Moss brings him down on the play. And the Huskers coming out strong to start the second half.
Both teams very balanced in their play selection in the first half. Tech ran the ball 15 times, threw it 14. Nebraska ran it 22 times, threw it 19. Very, very balanced in their play selection, but coming out in the second half, Coach Callahan said, let's throw the pig.
Second down and 4. Marlon Lucky. Inside the 6 where Collins makes the tackle.
This would be a big statement for Nebraska to score a touchdown right before the half to increase the lead to 2 scores, to come out and have a possession immediately to start the second half, and here they are inside the 10-yard line. If they score another touchdown and score right at the end of the first half and the first possession of the second half, that would be a huge statement for them.
See Marlon Lucky and what he's done in the ground game so far today. And well as out of the backfield. Now, here is Taylor. Got a man open. Touchdown, Nebraska! As the Huskers roll J.B. Phillips with a reception. The junior from Colleyville, Texas, on a 6-yard TD reception.
Well, Matt Harrion has caught a touchdown pass at tight end. Why not involve J.B. Phillips, another big body guy, 6'3", 245-pounder. Did a nice job. And boy, Zach Taylor standing in there knowing he's going to get lit up. Louisiana Tech is broken down in coverage. There's no question about it. The tight ends have been lonesome soldiers out there in the secondary, patrolling it without any problem at all.
And the point after attempt is good by Congdon. Big 12 football on FSN is brought to you in part by Dr. Pepper. College football on FSN is presented by Kyocera, the new value frontier. And brought to you in part by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. By Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors that add up to one bold taste. Dr. Pepper, there's more to it. And by Overstock.com. Search, shop, and save up to 70% at Overstock.com. Well, the Huskers take just 2:29 off the board to start the second half, and bang, into the end zone on the TD pass to Phillips. And it's kickoff to Louisiana Tech. Weldon Brown corralled inside the 15 and knocked around. And Brown is brought down inside the 16, a 10-yard return. And Nebraska getting the tackle of Brandon Rigoni, a former walk-on, now scholarshipper and captain. He's the missile.
Yep, he's the guy. He's a free safety, but what he does is this. He's not going to make a whole lot of plays at the line of scrimmage as safety, but he is a kamikaze covering kicks.
Check in with Emily Jones.
Well, guys, he's 5'6", 185 pounds. He grew up coming to Nebraska games with his fathers. He used to sit in the north end zone, 10 rows from the top. Now his parents are planted firmly on the 50-yard line, 18 rows up. He's a captain. He's earned a black shirt, and he is living a dream.
Sounds like Rudy, doesn't it? It's like a Rudy movie.
Prior snap. False start, 63 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Yeah, but some people tell me, hey, this guy can play. Nothing against Rudy.
No, he can definitely play. But it's a good story. There's no doubt about it. Instead of Rudy, it should be Brandon. That'd be great here.
And his parents are going, hey, we went from the cheap seats. We're down to 50 now. This is all right, kid. Way to go.
Nice comps.
Yeah, it's saving him some money with that scholarship. All right, La Tech needs a big series here. This record-setting crowd roaring, and a flag is thrown.
Well, they're trying to change plays at the line of scrimmage, and they're
snap, false start, 89 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It was something they said they probably wouldn't do much of today.
Yeah, I think Nebraska is making some adjustments defensively, and you have a deal where they have to make some changes at the line of scrimmage. And Anthony James, he rolled forward a little bit in his stance as he was trying to listen in to what the change in play was.
Well, crowd screaming again. It's 1st and 20. The ball backed up on the 6. Watch out. And Champion unloads it. He had a man in his face, and it was Carricker.
Boy, nothing new there. Adam Carricker was a high school quarterback, and he was quarterback for an 0-9 football team, and he was always running for his life. So he wants to make quarterbacks do this, run for their life. And Carricker can get after it. 6'6", 295 pounds, tremendously athletic.
There's a defensive MVP last year, first team all-conference pick in the Big 12, and a preseason All-America selection this year. Carricker has that defense rocking in the crowd as well. Second down and 20, ball at the 6-yard line. Champion on the 1 to receive the snap. Hands it off quickly, and nice play as Nebraska gets the run out across, or the Louisiana Tech out across the 20 to the 21-yard line for Freddie Franklin, a 15-yard pickup.
Stuart Bradley lost his outside contain a little bit. He got sucked up inside, and now it's a third and makeable. That's a good call. Bradley loses the contain, and now you're in a situation where you can convert. Draws and screens when you're expecting a fierce pressure package is an outstanding call.
Andre Jones in on the play. 3rd and 5 for the Bulldogs. Champion to Franklin. 1-on-1. Dives for the first down. And Champion, nice play that time as he was trying to take and beat Beirut.
Yeah, you have running back on linebacker, and this should favor the running back. There's the motion. Watch the back come out of the backfield, and Bo Ruud's got him. He tries to take the angle, intersect it. Franklin's a little bit faster than Bo Ruud gave him credit for, and once he got to the corner, he was able to stretch the ball out past the first down marker.
So that was significant for Louisiana Tech to be backed up on their 6-yard line and get a first down. And here is Franklin again. If nothing else, Dave, give their defense a chance to just adjust a little bit after Nebraska hit 4 straight passes for a TD out of the break.
Absolutely, and to punch themselves out of the bad field position they had with the crowd noise causing them some penalty problems. And they're a resilient group. I mean, you have Zach Champion who's not the least bit overwhelmed. I mean, the game has not been too big for him. He stayed in the pocket well. He's been protected. His back's done a great job of blitz pickup against the linebackers blitzing.
The guy who threw 2 passes last season. And on the ground again on a 2nd and 3. McEwen is there to stop the play. It'll be 3rd and around a yard. We'll see where they measure it here. 3rd and 2. Looks like at the 36-yard line now for Louisiana Tech. 9:34 and counting here in this 3rd quarter. Nebraska led at intermission 21-10, tacked on a TD. Taylor a pass to Phillips to come out of the locker room roaring. And their defense created some havoc. Now Louisiana Tech trying to get a little more stability. Big 3rd and 2 at the 36. Champion fakes in the handoff. In trouble. Throws it away. In his face, Jay Moore.
Yeah, the naked bootleg fooled no one. There's a penalty flag. Let's see what this call is. Huge call right here. If it's against Nebraska, it's a first down for Louisiana Tech. Holding against Louisiana Tech will be declined, I would think. I don't think they think Jack McNell would go for it with this field position on 4th and short.
51 on the offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
So they will indeed kick it away here on 4th down. The Champion comes off. And Chris Cagle, the sophomore from Baton Rouge, will come on to kick it away. Terrence Nunn, the lone deep man for Nebraska. Heck of a kick. The 20's off the football. And a scramble for it. Huskers indicate they've got it. Louisiana Tech saying the same thing.
It's a tug of war right now. Strong forearms, wrists, and hands win.
Nothing from the officials yet.
It's Nebraska football.
It is Nebraska football. Wow, 46-yard kick, and things got a little quiet here at Memorial Stadium. Huskers lead it 28-10. Now let's take a look at our Aflac trivia question here in Lincoln, Nebraska. How about it? Who are the 5 coaches to take a college job after guiding a team to the Super Bowl? There's one hint.
Yeah.
All right?
Right.
Okay. Bill Callahan, of course, doing that with the Oakland Raiders. There's 4 others. Mull it over as Nebraska gets the football after a fumble on the punt return. And they keep it on the ground here. They were impressive in that first half of the ground game with over 100 yards rushing. And then they took to the air to start the second. Wilson with a carry here. And he picks up 5 before he's stopped by Mark Dillard. And last 5 possessions, here's what Nebraska's done with them.
Boy, how about the last 4 of them have been outstanding. 8-play drive, 12-play drive, 11 and 6, all for touchdowns. And that's ball control right there.
Peterson, the man in motion. Taylor.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Swift. He was too open. Nobody within 5 yards of him, and Swift couldn't find a handle.
You know, as you look at the shadows, the way they're being cast, as he looked back, I wonder how soon he found the football. The sun is on that particular angle. Don't want to make excuses for him, but, boy, this is one that you got to make a play on. He adjusted to the ball and put his head right down to it. You just got to squeeze it a little bit more, and that he makes a move after that catch. You don't know what you're looking at. Another opportunity not taken full advantage of by Nebraska. They've had big plays nullified, including a touchdown by penalty, but that one just dropped.
Here's Taylor again firing, and this one incomplete, going for Nunn. Nunn, Swift, and Marion have 3 receptions each. Hampton was covering on that play. Zach Taylor's already thrown for 234 yards now, and a pair of touchdowns, 1 interception here today.
It's unfortunate Nebraska now has to punt the football away. Louisiana Tech gets a 1-2-3 and out. And it was a fortunate 1-2-3 and out because they had another blown coverage, and Swift bailed them out by dropping the football. They're getting the things they want to have done by their formation and motion and all those things, confusing the secondary. Guys are starting to run wide open, which was George Darlington's biggest fear.
Freddie Franklin deep. Titchener stands on a 6. Boots it away for the Huskers. Franklin going back 30. 27-yard line for the catch. Got by 1. Saw a little seam. 35. And sticks his head down and goes across the 40-yard line. Nice return that time by Franklin after a 52-yard boot. He picks up 12 on the return, and the tackle made by McEwen. Aflac trivia question about college coaches after guiding a team to the Super Bowl. Bill Callahan has won.
Yeah, I ultimately
got the toughest one today as you tested on this.
Yeah, the last one was one that I forgot about, actually, but Bobby Ross at Army, that was the one that it took me the longest. George Allen, that was one that got a little difficult. Bill Walsh, Forrest Gregg I knew about because he coached the Super Bowl team that I was part of.
Of course, went to SMU. And Allen going to Long Beach State, trying to go to the house. Here is the deep ball, and it's nearly picked off as they're trying for Holland. And Andre Jones is the one that had the best opportunity in.
In the first half, Zach Champion was 6 of 14 for 112 yards and a touchdown. Holland caught 5 of those 6. He had all the yards and he had the touchdown. Patrick Jackson caught a ball out of the backfield for no gain. So it was basically the Champion to Holland show in the first half by air.
Last time Louisiana Tech was here, Troy Edwards set an NCAA record with 21 receptions, 405 yards receiving, and a loss to the Huskers.
And 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was one of the most bizarre stat games for a team that took a thorough whipping, 56-27.
And Tim Rattay was unbelievably impressive. He was 46 of 68 for 590 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's crazy.
And you get whipped.
Yeah.
Yep. Louisiana Tech 3rd and 10. Ball on the 40 of the Bulldogs. And they send Holland and Newman wide left here. Let's see if the Huskers come after it. 6:43 to go in the 3rd quarter. Champion. Here they come. He unloads the football before being dragged down. Barry Turner was in his face. And a hold up. Jack Nell scratching the head after that one.
Take a look at the stunts inside, the crossing action. They run double TE stunts, and one gets home. And all they did was rush 4, but they twisted them up front. Barry Turner got there and put the pressure on him. You can rush 4 and drop 7 into coverage. Tough on a quarterback.
High snap. Nearly blocked. Cagle gets it off. And it's taken by Nunn. He fields this one all right. And he is smothered at the 27-yard line. A break on Kyocera's College Football Saturday after 34-yard punt. Huskers 28, Louisiana Tech 10.
Welcome back to College Football Saturday, brought to you by Kyocera. It is 28-10, Nebraska on top here in Lincoln. And we are joined by the Cornhuskers' new head basketball coach, Doc Sadler. What's it like being in Lincoln? Is this your first football game?
It's unbelievable. As you know, Emily, there's not a better place in college football than being here on a Saturday afternoon. The sun shines out. The fans are great. We're winning, so what more could you ask for?
Now, a lot of people might say, why would you want to come to Nebraska? This is clearly a football school.
Well, because football is what gives us all the opportunities that we have here. Obviously, our athletes are taken better care of than anybody in the country, and it's because there's 80,000 people here today. So I love football, and we just need to get a little bit of this energy in the Devaney Center.
The expansion here has made these facilities second to none, and that spills over, as you mentioned, to you guys.
No question about it. We're fixing to start at the Devaney Center and completely redo it. So a lot of great things are happening here. We just got to do our part as a basketball staff to get the college basketball team close to what they've got here in football.
You come to Nebraska by way of UTEP, and you've also got some Big 12 ties. Coached at Texas Tech for a brief stint in the early 90s.
Got some great friends. Obviously, I work with Billy Gillespie. Bill Self's a very good friend of mine. Sean Sutton, I used to babysit when he was growing up. So we're going to have a lot of fun competing against each other, and hopefully we'll win our share of games.
You should be able to get some dirt on Sean by the babysitting, right?
Well, if we need it, if we need it and it's a close ball game, I'll tell the referees what we need to do.
All right, Doc Sadler, the new men's basketball coach here at Nebraska. Best of luck this season. We do appreciate it. Guys, back up to you.
All right, thank you, Emily. Best of luck to Doc Sadler coming in here for the UTEP. Mueller makes the reception on that pass from Taylor for the Huskers with 5:04 to go in the quarter. Hampton making the tackle.
Coach doesn't look old enough to have babysat Sean Sutton.
That's right.
I mean, he's looking good.
Nice job down there at UTEP when he took over for Billy Gillespie, and got a lot of friends that won't be so friendly when they get to go into basketball action in the Big 12.
Time to compete then.
The Huskers with a 28-10 lead. 2nd and 6, ball on the 47. Nunn the man in motion. They fake to him and instead hand it off up the middle, and that is Kenny Wilson. As he stopped at midfield. Well, we talked about the facilities, and Emily visiting with Doc Sadler. They have added a brand new locker room underneath the stands at the opposite end. We had a chance to tour this yesterday, Dave. Just absolutely incredible. The new indoor facility, the Tom and Nancy Osborne Sports Complex, that offers more than just football, the opportunity to work on there. The training room facility, the medical setup with x-ray machines. They've got a room for nothing but knee braces in this place.
It's amazing.
Just absolutely top shelf as they continue to make bigger and better here at Nebraska. None on the reception, and it's a first down as he rolls out of bounds at the 39 of the Bulldogs.
Taken out of bounds on number 35.
Yeah, and let's not forget about $4 million for that brand new Husker Vision board up here that is 117 feet wide. I could watch my hotel last night, about 3.5 blocks down the road.
Zach Taylor can take a look at the replay, and as the replay unfolds on the big screen, that's the biggest screen, TV screen in the state of Nebraska, maybe in this geography.
Yeah, now you got to go down to Texas. Godzillatron, as they've called it in Austin, is a slightly bigger one down there that folks saw earlier today on FSN. But Texas taking care of University of North Texas. Macbeth makes the tackle here. And it'll be a 2nd down coming up for the Huskers, and 7 at the 36-yard line. And the crowd today, because of the expansion where they added 6,500 seats in that end zone and another row of suites, 81,206 is the expansion accommodation. And the new record crowd here today, 85,000 officially, 181 the official attendance here today. Taylor got time, going deep. Oh, nearly picked off by Hampton.
Underthrew him. Had him and didn't put enough air into the ball. Another thing Nebraska's doing a pretty good job of with Zach Taylor is changing the launch point. Sometimes they have him in pocket. Sometimes they're getting him out of pocket. Little play action here where he just drops straight back into the pocket and delivers, and just did not quite get enough underneath the air underneath the ball and got smoked as he delivered it. And that's been happening to him here a little bit today. He is a courageous guy in the pocket. He knows it's coming. He stands in there to the bitter end.
Got sacked 36 times last year. You talk about toughness. Harris got him that time, but he got rid of it. Now this one is complete to Todd Peterson. That'll move the chains. Picks up 17 yards, and Peterson gets the first down for Nebraska. Zach Taylor, the story, of course, went to Wake Forest. Just didn't fit. Went to Butler County Junior College in Kansas, and then came up here and lit him up last year and starting off strong today.
And that's the 9th different receiver that he's gone to, and that's his job in the West Coast offense, is to execute and distribute. And he's attacked all quadrants of the football field with multiple people.
Play action.
Got it.
Dumps it off, and it is complete to Phillips, who scored a touchdown earlier. He is tackled at the 15 by Moss.
Todd Peterson came off the line of scrimmage open real early, but Zach Taylor couldn't pull the trigger on it and had to check down.
Yeah, that's what the crowd saw.
Yeah, the crowd kind of reacted to just coming off Todd Peterson coming off the line of scrimmage pretty cleanly.
Husker passing, you know what it was with Tom Osborne, and of course Frank Solich continued solely pretty much with the ground game. Bill Callahan, whole different percentage with the West Coast offense, but having said that, he's very adamant that their running game has to improve this year. And you notice today they keep coming back to that ground game, this time Kenny Wilson.
Well, as you mentioned, in the first half, his play selection was very balanced. Ran it 22 times, threw it 19. In a perfect world, you want to try to get 50-50. Not necessarily in yards, but play selection. That's the thing that they got in the bowl game against Michigan. They were extremely balanced offensively. They had, I think it was 318 yards in that game, and 161 of them were on the ground.
And a timeout is called here as Nebraska will take a breather, and we will as well. 1:37 to go in the third quarter. Huskers lead at 28-10, knocking on the door again here in Lincoln. Nebraska touchdown on the play as we come back. No, he was out of bounds, out of the end zone as Zach Taylor trying to connect with France Hardy. Welcome back, Kyocera's College Football Saturday. Moss was covering on the play as Taylor was forced to scramble.
Well, this one is one that Hardy'd like to have back. Here he is in the top, working, works his way to the back corner of the end zone, drops the football. And he juggles the ball in the back corner. Doesn't have complete possession. You have to have possession of the ball, total possession of the ball, and 1 foot in bounds. And he was juggling it as he backed out of the end zone.
4th down and 2. They will go for it here. The ball on the 9-yard line. And the pitch. Wilson to the 5, running hard. And Wilson brought down near the 3-yard line by Quinn Harris. It's a junior out of Liberal, Kansas. Another Butler County Junior College fella that last year ran for nearly 1,300 yards and 14 scores.
He comes out of piles now. Wilson will go into a pile and always come out the other side. He's got 4.4 speed on that big, strong body. I can understand why they like him. 6 feet, 220 pounds with that kind of speed. He's only been here for a month. He's only experienced about 20 practices. He really doesn't know what he doesn't know yet with this West Coast offense. As he develops, he's going to be big time.
1st and goal from the 2. And Louisiana Tech reads it and drops him for a loss as Wilson stopped at the 5.
That was good penetration coming downhill. Antonio Baker in the goal line defense. That safety, the unblocked safety, just comes downhill and just and makes a big hit. Nice job.
Muse coming in there as well.
Muse had him low, yeah.
So 2nd and goal from the 5 now. 37 seconds to go, third quarter. Huskers trying to get another 6. Wilson wrapped up hard, lost the football. And Louisiana Tech has recovered. The Huskers turn it over. And Louisiana Tech, partner was just saying during the break, Nebraska punches this one in. It could be a long fourth quarter.
Right.
Louisiana Tech is not so quick, huh?
I'm telling you, they've responded. This is their second takeaway. They had the deflected interception after after they had fumbled a kickoff, a punt return. Now you have to ball security. I mean, is his forward progress done? It's just punched out of there. Just reached in and punched out of there. Weldon Brown.
Brown got the recovery. I think Harris got the knockout on it. And Louisiana Tech is going to get possession of the football at the 11-yard line.
The quarter's going to close.
Yep, that's seconds ticking down. So we've played 3 here in Lincoln. In front of a record crowd at Memorial Stadium, and Bill Callahan's Huskers have the lead 28-10. They've made some critical mistakes, though. They could have this one under complete control had they not. Sarah's College Football Saturday continues in just a moment. You're watching it all on FSN. Welcome back, KSR's College Football Saturday. Bill Land, Dave Lapham, Emily Jones with you in Lincoln, Nebraska. Huskers 28, Louisiana Tech 10. Fourth quarter, first play, and Louisiana Tech first and 10 on their own 11 after a fumble recovery. See what the Bulldogs can do with this roaring crowd of 80,000 plus. Go deep, and it is complete. Wheeler, the 35, wants the football. And Nebraska's recovered. Wow. Oh, mama. Grigsby got it back.
You talked about staying with the play. I thought Grigsby got thrown out of the way a little bit. I thought he got pushed out of the way.
A 57-yard play.
Boy, just air it out. Louisiana Tech saying, let's go deep again. We want to stay with that big play philosophy. Grigsby just punches it out of there, stays with it, stays with it. I thought that Josh Wheeler pushed Grigsby out of the way to get an advantage to make the catch. Then Grigsby just kept ripping and ripping at it with that left arm. The ball came out, bounced around, Grigsby fell on it. Big takeaway.
Give me that thing, he says, as Grigsby, who was injured earlier, obviously comes back with a vengeance.
He had that shoulder problem. He's recovered from that.
And Louisiana Tech comes away and says, well, all right, let's just treat it like a long punt. 57 yards. At least we got it out of our end. Nebraska brings it back on the ground with Cody Glenn. And let's now show you our eHarmony game summary as we get into the early moments of the fourth quarter. As Nebraska, they've moved it around in that passing game. Zach Taylor with 268 yards and a pair of scores. And Nebraska also dominating statistically.
You know, if they hadn't self-destructed with a touchdown called back and another big play called back that was first and goal inside the 10-yard line, I think the numbers would reflect the score bigger.
Total yardage, 411, 237 is the edge for Nebraska, and that includes that 57-yard pass play before the fumble. And now Jackson makes the tackle on Lucky here, 13 yards on the play, and he is slow to get up. Marlon Lucky, quite a shot.
Yes, he did. It's almost like a down goes Frazier. I think he's just rung a little bit. He's trying to get his balance. He's wobbly.
He is bruising. Take a look at the hit.
See if it's a helmet to helmet, and it's right in the back of the neck. The shot provided by Baker.
And it folded him under a little bit there. Hopefully Lucky's okay. First and 10 at the 46. Taylor hands the football off. Glenn. 35. And out of bounds. Near the 31-yard line. Cody Glenn, 14 yards on the carry. Deion Young, a freshman from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, makes the tackle. And guess what? Another first down. The first down line brought to you by Overstock.com with live customer service and an online price guarantee. Shopping online has never been easier. Overstock.com. Huskers shift. First and 10 at the 31. Leading at 28-10. 13-28 to go in the ball game. Glenn found a hole again. Pushed it up. 20. Drags one with him across to the 19-yard line. Cody Glenn stopped by Sandy Ray Collins.
Well, they pulled Big Mike Huff, and they ran a little bit of a power O to that side. After they shifted the strength of the formation, here comes Huff, and he takes it inside, and they just form a wall and wash everything away. And Glenn says, thanks, guys. I'll just tuck it up inside of you and square my shoulder pads up and see what I can get out of this.
Huskers first and 10, ball on the 19-yard line. And again, pitch to Glenn. Knifing through, a tackler misses, and Glenn again cuts back. And a horde of Bulldogs stop him, but not until he forges over the 10-yard line.
Yeah, Lubin was the guy, Bill, that missed the tackle, kind of tried to knife his way through, as you described, and couldn't make the hit on Glenn. Got to do more than arm tackle this big boy. Here comes Lubin trying to knife through guys, and you can't arm tackle him. You have to get your head and shoulder pads in front of him and drive your body through his. He'll just take arm tackles and laugh at it.
12 carries, 71 yards. Lucky is 13 for 79. The top duo in this four-man running back crew. First and goal from the 9. And again, on the ground, Jackson gets the call as Brandon Jackson getting his second carry of the day. Kenny Wilson's the other back. Wilson with 9 carries and 22 yards. Meanwhile, Taylor's thrown it for 281 yards today.
Pulled big Mike Huff again from the right guard position. He almost got through the hole clean. He got picked up by some of the traffic. And if he had gotten to the linebacker level, that one might have popped. But Huff just got rerouted.
And Nebraska, second and goal from the 6. Taylor to throw it and complete, and touchdown Nebraska. Once again, this time Josh Mueller, the junior from Columbus, Nebraska.
That's the third different tight end that Nebraska has used. Matt Harrion, J.B. Phillips, and this time Mueller. 3 touchdown passes to 3 different tight ends. That's utilization of your personnel. That's the West Coast offense at its best in the red zone. Tight ends are a big, big priority and can do some big, big damage. And they've gotten to him 3 times.
6 yards on the pass play as Taylor gets the TD pass to Josh Mueller. And now Congdon on for the point after. And it is good. So Nebraska got the ball back after the strip and now leads it 35-10 on Kyocera's College Football Saturday from Lincoln. Nebraska with a 35-10 lead here in the fourth quarter. College football tripleheader continues after our game from Lincoln, when Utah will take on the UCLA Bruins in high definition as both teams look to start the new season with a win. College football coverage continues all day right here on FSN. The tripleheader coming up. The kickoff right now here as Nebraska boots it to Louisiana Tech. And Jackson is brought down at the 24-yard line. We'll take a Dr. Pepper game break and check in with Mike Goldberg.
Hey, Bill, with the 12 games this year, some teams have already started conference play, including number 20 Oregon and Stanford. Kellen Clemens, Brady Leaf, forget about it. This team, the Oregon Ducks, now belong to the junior Dennis Dixon. This the first of 2 touchdowns on the day. Oregon in control at home, 34-10. Back to you in Lincoln.
All right, thank you, Mike. Mike, kind of like that idea of having a conference game right in the early part of September. It gets everybody going. That's happening out there in the Pac-10. Here, Nebraska trying to pull away and doing so from Louisiana Tech as they have shut out the Bulldogs from Ruston, Louisiana in the second half. Carricker making the tackle that time.
Both offensive coordinators, Bill, have been very balanced in their play selection. At the end of the third quarter, Tech has thrown it 19 times, run it 19 times. Nebraska run it 33 times, thrown it 31 times. One play from being totally balanced. They both want that 50-50 mix.
2nd and 11. And Champion delivers on the look-in to Wheeler. Got 12 yards, and that'll be a first down. So Louisiana Tech will move the chains here.
I think Jack Bicknell has found himself a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, like his play. Huh?
Yeah, he has not crumbled under pressure whatsoever. They didn't want to put the game on him right away. You know, the burden of responsibility fall on him. But Jack wanted to see how would he handle the game speed. You know, it's different. Decision making, trying to simulate Nebraska's defensive practice and seeing the real thing in Lincoln. He's responded well.
First and 10 for Champion. Got time here and drills to Jonathan Holland. Holland, who's had a fantastic day. And I'll tell you what, they're going to have to go a ways to match his sensational touchdown grab here for the rest of this season because he has been phenomenal.
That was an individual highlight reel right there. I mean, to be running full speed and extend the left hand like he did, catch it with the left hand, secure it to the body, and never break stride and get both feet in bounds inside the pylon was just a phenomenal play.
6 grabs, 126 yards for the day, but that was his first reception in the second half. They put the clamps on it. Now they look in across the middle, and it is complete to Newman. He comes back to the 35, where he's brought down from behind. Nebraska coming up with Steinkuhler on the play. Ty Steinkuhler, the 280-pound sophomore from here in Lincoln, stops a 16-yard gain.
Well, what he did after the catch was extraordinary. Not only making the catch, but then changing direction and leaving everybody in his wake. He was number 2 in the country last year in terms of percentage of his catches being touchdowns. 30 catches, 8 of them went for touchdowns. Almost 27% of his catches were scores.
1st and 10 at the 34. Louisiana Tech trying to answer. Down by 25. Oh, my goodness. Nice mitts by Holland once again. He stretches for the grab at the 21-yard line and a stop by Andrew Shandling.
That's the thing I like about him, Bill. You know, obviously he's got great speed to stretch the field 400 meters. But look at how he plucks the football here. Soft hands. He catches the back half of the football, and he takes the hit. He's tough. He sinks his hips, gets in and out of cuts. He's a good route runner. He's not a track guy trying to play football. He's a football player with great track speed.
He runs a little track when he's got time. 1st and 10 at the 21. 9:32 counting here in the 4th, though. Ball is tipped off the hand of the receiver, Newman, and falls to the ground.
Newman led the team in catches, yards, touchdowns last year. He was the guy. And basically, Nebraska decided to take him out of the action. Well, they said, okay, you're going to do that and put Jonathan Holland in single coverage? We'll go there. And that's what Jack Bicknell has. When you have multiple receivers, Wheeler, Newman, and Holland, you can't double them all. Somebody's going to have to beat one-on-one coverage. And today, for the most part, Jonathan Holland was isolated one-on-one in the perimeter, and he beat it.
Yeah, Newman had 8 scores last year. James breaks early here, the tight end for Louisiana Tech.
Ball start, 89 offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
The key today, I thought, though, other than Adam Carricker, they didn't have an answer for him. They were moving him around. I think it's very wise for Kevin Cosgrove, the defensive coordinator, to move him around and try to find the best mismatch to take advantage of his pass rush abilities. But the blitz pickup by the running backs and the blitzing linebackers has been extraordinary for Champion.
2nd and 15. Champion out of the shotgun here. Boom. And hit just as he tried to drop it forward to Patrick Jackson. And Jay Moore was there to provide the bump.
Jay Moore, 6'4", 280 pounds with speed as well. And this front four is pretty relentless. There's no doubt about it. We've said at the beginning of the broadcast, last year, 50 sacks led the nation. 140 tackles for loss also led the nation. 190 times they got teams off schedule. That is big time.
And the players were saying yesterday, hey, we should have had 60 last year.
Right.
They are nowhere near settled. These guys are frothing about their ability to create havoc.
5-yard penalty, still third down.
James again with the miscue. So 3rd down and 20 now, the ball on the 31.
That was one of the keys. You lost him out of screen a little bit, tight end. But as you see, Nebraska moving up front. They'll shift in their defensive line, their linebackers accordingly, and sometimes get a little antsy, get a little jumpy. You have to just listen to the quarterback and listen to that snap time.
3rd and 20 now for Louisiana Tech. Zach Champion. And it is picked off. That is Rude. And Rude is brought down at the 35-yard line. Possession, Cornhuskers.
And that's not booing. That's the crowd chanting Rude.
They've chanted that for decades here, haven't they?
They sure have. I played with this guy's dad, Tom Rude. Rudy Ray, we used to call him. #1 draft pick coming out of Nebraska. Champion just lost total track of Rude as he's just kind of free underneath. Never saw the linebacker. Saw his receiver beat the cornerback inside, but Bo Rude got a nice drop into coverage, and hit him right between the numbers. He had a great season going last year until he broke his arm. But his brother Barrett now playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Root, as I talked about, a couple of uncles. I mean, everybody played here in Nebraska.
Yeah, and Roots are a tradition. And running the ball has been a tradition in Nebraska, and it's strong today as the new quarterback Gans gives it to Cody Glenn. And the Husker rambles for 18 yards. Glenn will take over the rushing leadership with that for the day.
We're getting to the point of the game, Bill, where rolling 4 different running backs in there and having some depth in the offensive line starts to wear on Louisiana Tech. You know, I think now it's a case of just too many athletes on the Nebraska side of things, and you know, you have starters playing special teams for Louisiana Tech, a couple of special teams apiece. At some point, the gas tank starts to run on fumes.
You see the Huskers dominating on the run, and you see the new quarterback, Gans. Joe is a 6'2", 210-pound sophomore from Palos Heights, Illinois. And he's a Texan. We got football.
Number 27, Kenny Wilson.
As Wilson was the ball carrier. They sort him out down there with 8:40 to go in the football game.
Yeah. Strong hands and wrists. Sometimes it doesn't end up with the guy that had it initially. Sometimes I've been in those situations, getting those piles, and man, the guys are scratching, biting, clawing, and all of a sudden somebody rips the ball out of your hands.
Gans redshirted in 04. Last year, a backup to Taylor, and as we've told you, Taylor's so durable. Gans did not get much playing time. Bill Callahan says Terry Gannon type. That's how I would classify this guy.
Right.
And again, he's not saying Terry Gannon, but Terry Gannon type, and that tells you quite a bit.
Can make plays with his feet. Very athletic.
The football incomplete. Well defended that time. Intended for Jackson out of the backfield.
Intended for number 32, Brandon Jackson.
The other thing that Coach Callahan liked about Gans is being a student of the game. In the West Coast offense, you do have to have some intelligence. He throws a nice ball here, very tight spiral, right on the money. Just off the outstretched arm. I mean, you can't throw it much better than that. Brandon Jackson just could not corral it.
Quinn Harris did a nice job to get in there and mix it up just enough to make sure that thing wasn't completed. 3rd down and 5, the ball on the 41.
Yeah, that was a linebacker running 20 yards downfield with a running back. That was great coverage.
Harris been impressive today.
Made some plays. He's the one that tipped the ball that they intercepted after the fumbled punt by his team.
Timeout called on a 3rd and 5 situation for Nebraska. We'll be right back at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. You're watching Kyocera's College Football Saturday.
Welcome back to Lincoln, Nebraska. The Cornhuskers on top by a score of 35-10. We are inside the new facilities, the new suites here in Lincoln, and one of the Nebraska Cornhuskers' biggest fans is Larry, the cable guy. Larry? What do you think about this?
Well, I tell you what, this is a blast. We got, I grew up here in Nebraska, lived here 16 years, and moved to Florida, but I've only been to 4 games, and now I was able to get one of these suites. I got a good deal on it. It's $400 a month, but I got to bring my own cooler, but it was worth it. We're having a blast out here today.
Now, I understand you've made it out to some Cornhusker practices. You're kind of getting yourself familiar with the team?
Yeah, you know what? I went out. They needed a pulling guard, so I come out and kind of tried out for it, but I hurt my ankle within the first 20 seconds. But no, I went down and did some jokes for the team, and it was just a thrill. I can perform in front of 10,000 people, but the minute I got in front of that team, I was like, I don't know what to say. It was just such a thrill. So, yeah, I'm a big Husker fan.
Well, the Huskers are going to get her done.
Get her done, baby, get her done.
And there it is, that famous phrase. Say it one more time.
Get her done.
And the Huskers got her done just now with a touchdown. Guys, send it back up to you.
All right, don't have too much fun up there. Brandon Jackson got her done. And Nebraska adding it on here, 41-10.
How about the contact balance of Jackson as he got her done? That was a big time stay on your feet, showing that contact balance.
Everybody getting in the act, including Larry, the cable guy.
How about that?
Here's the snap and the kick. And is good as Nebraska gets the point after, and the Huskers now lead it 42-10. Here's a look at Jackson's run to the end zone.
Tremendous.
Here's the Kyocera Wireless call of the game from Larry the Cable Guy.
I was like, I didn't know what to say. It was just such a thrill. So, yeah, I'm a big Husker fan.
Well, the Huskers are going to get her done.
Get her done, baby, get her done.
And there it is, that famous phrase. Say it one more time.
They did get her done. Jake Wesh, who had the point after, by the way, for Nebraska, kicks it off here. Coming on for Congdon, and the return out to the 30. And let's check in with Mike Goldberg on a Dr. Pepper game break.
Bill, you mentioned it earlier. Game 3 of our triple header here on FSN will feature UCLA hosting Utah, available in high definition. 23-year-old sophomore Ben Olsen will make his first career start. He now is running the Bruins offense. That game, top of the hour. Back to you in Lincoln.
All right, thank you, Mike. Bill Callahan seeing his ball club cruise now. 42-10, 7:28 to go. Louisiana Tech comes on with the new quarterback as well. And nothing doing on that play as Mosley, the new quarterback. And our Super 8 scoring drive for Callahan's Huskers. 5 plays, 64 yards. Jackson, the 25-yard TD run. And 1 pass on the drive as the first completion in the career of Gans. And Coach Callahan got to be pleased with that overall domination. 303 yards passing, 239 rushing today. Got balance, you got balance.
Absolutely. And that's what the West Coast offense is all about. When it's humming on all cylinders, it is about balance. You can attack them either way successfully.
The pass is complete out to the 32-yard line.
Pass from Mosley complete to number 17.
Ryan Carroll gets his first reception. Here's Michael Mosley out of New Orleans, a redshirt freshman. Played at Landry High School, also a baseball standout there. And he's getting some time here. Because obviously, a 13-game schedule in the competition Louisiana Tech's playing. You got to make sure your backups get some experience because they are an inexperienced group as well as Champion was coming in today.
And you look at this for Mosley.
Mosley's passing.
How about the situation to break in? It's at Lincoln, Nebraska, against the top 25 team, and a highly rated defensive football team. Jack McNell says, "Okay, go get your feet wet." And that's going to help them. I mean, this is after being exposed to this, the game is going to slow down for them. It's going to be a lot easier for sure. Oh, thank you very much.
Cagel's punt. And it rolls to the 49, and that's where Nebraska will get it with 6:35 remaining after a 13-yard kick. College football on FSN is presented by Kyocera Wireless. Take your texting to the next level with the Kyocera Strobe. Kyocera Wireless reminds you to dial responsibly. And brought to you in part by DirecTV. DirecTV, rethinking the way TV should be. By Super 8, see you along the way. And by Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors that add up to one bold taste. Dr. Pepper, there's more to it. Huskers with Gans back at the controls, and he hands it off on a 1st and 10 at the 49. And
ball carried by number 27, Kenny Wilson.
Kenny Wilson gets the carry. And here's a Dave, evaluate, if you will, the rushing game for Nebraska. Glenn with 88 yards, Marlin with 79, Jackson with 36 and a touch, and then Wilson now his 11th carry, 30 yards.
Well, they got done what they wanted to get done. They got all 4 talented running backs involved. And I think the offensive line started to take control of the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter who your running back is. If that doesn't happen, you're not going to be successful. I think Bill Callahan thinks it's probably a good start for his running game.
Hands this one off to Wilson. And he dives forward to the 40-yard line.
Number 27, Kenny Wilson, the ball carrier.
Now, can the running game improve? Absolutely. Are they a finished product in the running game? Not even close. But you have to start somewhere. And when you watch Nebraska, and here you see who I think is going to be a star. I think this guy's got a big time written all over him. He's a freak physically. To be able to run a 4.40 with that kind of size, 6 feet, 220 pounds. But you see all day long, tight ends changing the strength of the formation motion. That's trying to break the defense down with a man short at the point of attack.
3rd and 1. And
number 27, Kenny Wilson, the ball carrier.
Wilson, the ball carrier.
Brought down by number 46.
Well, the other thing, Wilson's a guy. He's another one of these guys at great speed. As they mentioned, he was a state champ in the 100 and 200 in his high school days in Liberal, Kansas. First Down Line brought to you by Overstock.com. Whether you order a big screen TV or a comfy chair, it all ships for $2.95. Shop and save at Overstock.com.
You see this motion, Bill, that I'm talking about right here, these guys motioning? What it's trying to do is make Louisiana Tech not line up properly. That's what happened. Wilson. You end up with the motion. If you don't adjust to it properly, all you're looking for is that split second of hesitation by the linebackers and defensive linemen. What's my gap? Filled the wrong gap. Went backside, tried to backdoor it instead of coming over the top. You know, and Chad Beveridge took a chance and it came up wrong for him. But that's a lot of yards by a bunch of different people.
And they've totaled 259 yards now as a ball club rushing. 2nd and 1, the ball on the 29. And Wilson, gang tackled there. Both these teams have Nicholls State next. Nebraska will play Nicholls State next weekend, and then Louisiana Tech has the week off, and they get them on the 16th. But after that, well, Bill Callahan, he's got the great deal of the only team in the country to get to play both of the national title game participants from a year ago, USC, and, of course, Texas in Big 12 play. Louisiana Tech down the road, A&M at Clemson and at Boise after they host Nicholls. So talk about a backbreaker to get their season underway.
And 4 of their first 5 games for Louisiana Tech's on the road.
3rd and 1. Gann's got a man wide open. Touchdown, Huskers.
Tight end again.
As Nebraska pours it on. And Tia Patiller with the reception and gets another touchdown for the Huskers.
That's the 4th different tight end. It's done a pretty good. Watch this hit right here. Blitz pick up, take him to the ground, cut him in half, and your tight end is wide open. The 4th different tight end catches a touchdown in this West Coast offense. Tight end in the red zone, the West Coast offense is deadly.
Hunter Tia Patiller with the touchdown and the first career touchdown pass for Joe Gans. And the Huskers, a lot of firsts today in front of a record crowd of 85,181. West with a kick, 49-10. Big 12 football on FSN is brought to you in part by Dr. Pepper. Nebraska pouring it on, 49-10 here in Lincoln as the Huskers getting everybody into the act. Tia Patiller on that last touchdown reception. You see Harrion, who's had a comeback day, as he too has been in on the touchdown party. And now they kick it off. And here comes Louisiana Tech on the return as Reiser brings it out. Chris Reiser, a freshman from Houston. Well, of course, Jack Bignell was a part of one of the biggest days in college football in '84 when Doug Flutie, the Heisman Trophy winner, in his Hail Mary pass against Miami. Back in '84, Bignell was an offensive lineman for his father's team.
He was the center, snapping the ball right there, and this is a historic play, probably one of the most historic plays in all of college football. Gerard Phelan makes the catch. Couldn't believe that they let a defender let a receiver get beyond them at that sequence, at that stage of the game. It was incredible.
And Mosley hands it off to Franklin. Franklin is tackled at the 32. Well, it's fond memories for Coach Jack Bignell, and he says, I love talking about it. Everybody always asks me about it. And he was certainly concerned, though, that he didn't want to mess the play up.
Right.
When you look at the actual play, I got knocked right on my butt, which happened a few times that game, and I was sort of on my back. And instinctively, I just reached up to try to grab the guy. Thank goodness I didn't. But as every touchdown, when you're an offensive lineman, you're always looking around for a yellow flag before you celebrate too much. So thank goodness I didn't hold, and I'm sure my mom wouldn't even let me back in the house that night. So it was a great experience. My dad being the head coach and everything, it was just a wonderful experience.
Dad on the left, son on the right. Incredible.
Come back. Not enjoying his day here, but he's got some things to draw from. He just missed an incomplete pass, and it is now 3rd and 4 at the 31. And I think considering so many new guys making their starts today, particularly on the defensive unit of things, that overall there's some great talent there. And I think if they can survive that juggernaut of a schedule, some good things ahead for the Bulldogs.
I think they showed in the first half that they could play with people. I think they ran out of gas a little bit in the second half, but he's got a competitive bunch of kids.
Mosley under pressure and incomplete. Batted away there in the secondary. Brixby.
Let's face it, when you come to Lincoln, Nebraska, and it's sold out for the 276th consecutive time, it's not an easy place to come and win. Not many people have. It's a real test for your team, there's no doubt.
That sellout string goes back to 1962, and the Huskers have another string of 21 straight season-opening wins, and that is the best in the country as well. Last time they lost a season opener was 83 against Florida State. Here's the punt, and none will stay away from it, and will take a Bulldog roll inside the 30 down to near the 27-yard line, and that's where Nebraska will get possession after a 36-yard kick. And 1:42 remaining to play here at Memorial Stadium.
You know, speaking of that historic play a little bit longer, Doug Flutie, right after that play, Donald Trump signed with the New Jersey Generals. And he won the Heisman. Basically, that play sealed the Heisman for him. And I played with Doug Flutie for a year with the Generals. And what a magnificent improviser. I mean, he was incredible and went on to have a 20-year professional career in the Canadian Football League, USFL, and NFL. Tremendously gifted athlete.
All right, Gans brings him back out here with 1:23 to go.
Genuflect. Victory formation.
There you go. He'll take a knee. And Bill Callahan not looking to rub anything in here. They've gotten everybody pretty much into the act as well. An impressive second half performance, particularly for the Huskers, as they throw a shutout in the final two quarters after this game was 14-10 with 2:36 to go in the second period. And then Nebraska answered just before intermission, and then they answered again to start the second half.
I think that was the critical part of the game. They score to take a two-score lead. They're up 4. They score right before that to go up 11. And then they come right back out, get possession of the football to start the third quarter, and they go up 18. And then it was tough for uphill sledding for Louisiana Tech from there.
And Nebraska on a day with 588 total yards, and that may be subtracting a couple here on these final plays. But they got the offense cranked up, and they hold Louisiana Tech to 305 yards. And Nebraska makes it a convincing win here today. 49-10 as the Huskers get things off to a great start. Zach Taylor had an outstanding afternoon as well as the senior quarterback threw it to a variety of receivers today, and Taylor with an outstanding passing game to boot. Nebraska with a win of 49-10 over Louisiana Tech. Taylor, 287 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He had 22 of 34 and had 1 intercepted. And their running game gave him every opportunity to unload through the air. And let's go down now with Emily Jones and head coach Bill Callahan.
All right, Coach, a tale of two halves. You're down, or excuse me, up 11.
Yeah, we're up now.
I'm sorry. Up 11 at the break. Outscore them 39-0 in the second half. Got to be pleased with that second half performance.
I really am. I thought our players played hard, and to their credit, and I thought our coaches did an excellent job preparing our players. I thought our conditioning really paid off in the second half.
You said all week long you were going to play all 4 running backs, and a lot of us thought maybe you were pulling our leg. You were serious.
No, I was serious, and they're all good players, and I thought they got good work today. I really am proud of the way they carried the ball, and we'll get better. We'll learn from this game, and we'll get better.
You have to be pleased with the balance as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that, getting the passing and the running going at the same time?
We just wanted to mix up. We're a little bit more heavier in play action and running the ball out some heavier sets than we normally are. And we just wanted to get some work with our tight end. So, all in all, we were pleased with the effort by our players.
All right, Coach. Congratulations, 1-0. We do appreciate it. Again, Nebraska wins it by a final of 49-10 over Louisiana Tech. That's going to do it for us here in Lincoln. Time to pitch it to the guys in L.A.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome once again into our College Football Saturday studios in Los Angeles. Mike Goldberg alongside the Super Bowl and national champion DeMarco Farr and our Hall of Famer Billy Ray Smith. And a very good win for Nebraska. BR, really what we saw happen is what you pointed out during the halftime show. We saw Nebraska wear down their opponents, and later on, could we see UCLA wear down Utah? That game available in high definition. That game 3 of our triple header here on FSN. Talking about those Nebraska Cornhuskers as we were a moment ago, physically they wore down the undersized and undermanned opponents today of Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, and I think if you're Bill Callahan, you got to start thinking about this now. You got these huge offensive linemen, and you can beat on the opposition for 3 quarters. You own the 4th quarter, and you end up winning the football game as opposed to trying to be fancy and getting the West Coast offense installed. It's almost impossible. Using these players that come in waves every 4 years, it's hard to get an entire West Coast offense trained, DeMarco.
Yeah. The Cornhuskers today, shades of Tom Osborne, run the football, pound it down their throats. Mm-hmm. They put a little bit of that South Side toughness into that West Coast finesse offense. So I like it. Nebraska's going to set up that play-action pass. Zach Taylor looks strong today.
In 2 weeks, they're going to need North Side toughness. They're going to need South Side toughness. They're going to need East Side toughness. They're going to need West Side toughness against the USC Trojans.
Absolutely. They're going to need everything they can. The thing about USC is they have so many athletes. They can go so deep. They have all Americans 4 deep at USC, so Nebraska's really going to have to strap it up if they're going to try to stay in the game with USC.
Well, now, the last time we saw USC, at least as far as the postseason goes, we're talking about a defense that was a little bit embarrassed the way Texas ran over them and ran the way of the national
championship. But that was Vince Young.
Now, wait a second, though, because this USC defense, I think they have something to prove. They have to be physical. They have to make a statement beginning the first game this year.